Sweet. Everything's ready.
All right, cool.
And it's your intro.
Yeah, because I missed last
Welcome,
week.
welcome back to the pod,
All
Mike.
right, we're about halfway. 13 seconds in.
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. I actually turned off the intro. Thank you to the chatter that reminded me. Let's go.
I didn't last week. I messed it up last week. I did the
Yes.
same thing that you do every single episode.
It's hard. It's hard because you immediately go
Yeah.
into the intro and you forget. But anyway, if this is
Yep.
your first Answer the Call, this is a podcast with myself and Croncy where we talk about Star Citizen. But the call part of it is you guys, the people who are watching, can join our Discord, call in, or can write a comment as well for us to chat about as well, basically. So pretty simple stuff there. It is a podcast that is more like sports radio in America, if you guys are familiar with that. That's kind of what I framed it around when I first created it. So yeah.
I like to think of it as like a love song dedications, but Star Citizen, as people call in telling us all their sweet nothings about every ship that hasn't come out yet.
True. But today's topic is 324 is an evocati, which is cargo, elevators, inventory,
Yep.
and more. So we're going to be mostly discussing that. Calls are going to be mostly, we're going to try to keep you to that topic. Obviously, it's an evocati. Can't even show it. How many of you guys have experienced it? But on top of that, we had a really good Star Citizen Live this week as well that touched on what is not an evocati, which is the cargo missions. So yeah, and I have a little bit more context to that as well today from Elliot Maltby in chat, to the point where I literally sent a note to CIG to try to get him on my stream or the podcast or something like that to add a little more context, because I think a lot of people were confused on a lot of the things from Star Citizen Live. But overall, before we get into it, how was last week? I read the comments, and everyone was like, "This one is more positive. Can Mike just stay away?" Like, what?
Look,
Like,
it
it's my show.
was-
I guys created this. It's now our
Look,
show. But what the hell? You can't kick me out.
there were plenty of memes saying Mike is worse off, but I do have to say it is clear what everyone wants, and it is more Mike. And so I have a solution for the next time this happens, Mike. Hopefully this is going to work. We need more Mike on the pod. So we've got this. So he can just, next time this happens, I can make sure that Mike's looking right behind me and make sure everything is okay. So
Is that the OBS green
we'll be
screen?
all right. Yes.
That's actually super solid.
I know, right? How good is that?
That's pretty good. That's impressive.
But no, yeah, it was a good episode. Loved having Red on. Red's a good friend to both of us and a good mate
we
and
love Red.
a great person to have on. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll be able to have him on again soon when we get maybe some more mining stuff. But that's way down the line. We're talking all cargo today.
Unfortunately, I think mining is way down the line, but
yeah,
I think stuff like this definitely will take mining hopefully to the next level that it needs to go. That was the first thing I did in Evo. First thing I did, pulled out a mole, floated it in the air, pulled out the mole bags, and tried to put them on the freight elevator. Did you?
No, I spend all the time just trying to like absorb as much information as possible, because anyone who's missed Evo, because it only has just this is only like the second time that they've done public Evo notes and they've let us talk about Evo. It was, the first test was like 4 hours, a little over 4 hours, I think.
Yep.
Second test was a little bit longer, but was much harder time zone, at least for me to get into.
Same.
The
they
first
released it really late.
Yeah.
About 8 p.m. Eastern. So like I had a hockey game. I was actually late for the game because I jumped in that test for as little time as I could get, and I have a very funny story where we might have been in the same server, and you may have saw me losing my mind early in that test.
I did see you talking about some stuff, but I don't think I saw you lose your mind. So that might be different.
I punched my chair. off stream.
No,
Yes.
no,
And I almost
never,
said some
Mike.
gamer words. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Yeah, but we'll tell. It's a really funny story, so I'll tell it later. But yeah, so
Yeah,
you went in, and your goal was to gather as much information as
as
possible.
much information as possible. Yep.
Same with me. But just for me, one
Yep.
of the number one things on my list was mull bags. Do they
Mhm.
snap to a grid? Or
And
bags, do they snap to a grid?
yep.
Mull
And
bags so far do not,
okay,
but prospector bags do.
that's interesting. I would have thought as like for the most part they would just be the exact same item. But once again, this is also Evo, so maybe they are and it's just bugged or something.
Yep. And prospector bags snapped halfway through the elevator, so if you interact with them, they just fall in under the ground. But
Yep.
again, it's Evo, so things happen. But the intention is
Mhm.
there. So yes, the mull bags didn't work, but yes, the prospector bags worked. So they're thinking about us miners, and
Mhm.
yeah, they just got to get through all the little bugs and issues. And
Yep.
I think that's the best way to talk initially about Evo. Is it's not there yet, and it's even
Yeah, of
though
course
it
not.
was delayed, there's still quite a bit of polish that will be happening over the course of Evo, Wave 1, Wave 2, and
Yep.
beyond, and after Live probably when it comes to this. So just keep
Yep.
that in mind when you guys see it for yourself.
Even when we're talking about it through videos and stuff, like yeah.
Yep.
I will say, but like, if we just want to jump into like the things about the Evo patch because it's such a big deal, or do we want to just quickly do ISE and SEL? Because I feel like most of today is going to be talking about Evo.
I think SCL second
Okay.
because the missing link of Evo was the
Hmm.
missions, and they gave us some pretty good info on that. But it's up to you. Either way, whichever one comes first
No,
doesn't
yeah,
matter
let's
that
let's
much.
let's talk about the big things in Evo. The
Okay.
biggest thing, so like obviously we got to test the features that we've been trying to see how they're going to work and
Yep.
whatnot. But the biggest thing to me, and we'll talk about everything else, was just I was so surprised how well it worked when you were just leaving the hangar. So we have instanced hangars now,
Mm-hmm.
and they just worked, quote unquote,
Yeah.
Eva Cardi style. The only issue I had was, which is what everyone seemed to have, which is that because the instances are all overlaid over each other, everyone heard all of the alarms from everyone else's hangar.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Which was funny. I'm hoping that that's a bug that's easy to fix. But like, yeah, actually, like getting into your ship and calling out of the hangar, it was immediate for me. Like, there's a new message that comes up the top, something like "gateway accepted," I believe is what it said,
Okay.
rather than like hangar opening or whatever. Uh, and it just left. I thought that this was going to be the most buggy part of the entire thing. Of like, we would just never be able to leave hangars because the instances were just never going to work. It wasn't going to transition us to the right location, all that sort of stuff. And maybe it won't once we get enough people in, everyone calling ATC at the same time.
Yes.
But the tech worked, and I was genuinely really surprised by that.
Yeah. I had a fairly similar experience. I opened my hangar, except I have never left my hangar one time.
Really?
Yeah, so for me, the information gathering, I was way more interested in the interactions with the freight
Hmm.
elevator, the item banks, and generally what happened while you were in your instance hangar. Did
Hmm.
I ever have a timer where I had to like? Did they ever put me on a timer where like I couldn't just hang out in there? Things like that,
Mm.
right? What happened when a server crash happened? All that kind of stuff. So that was more
Yep.
my focus. It's good that your focus was elsewhere because now we can kind of fill in the gaps between each other. I also
Yep.
had a group of like 5 or so people that were playing, and so they were doing some other things and we were kind of using each other to gain the most amount of information possible as well. Um,
Yep.
but one of the first things that I did related to opening the doors, at least, was I opened the door
Hmm.
and I invited somebody in my party into my hangar.
Oh, how'd that go?
Well, they were instantly trespassing. So that was
Yeah,
interesting.
trespassing was a big issue. Just the entirety of the playtest, though.
The
So I'm
second day,
not. You know what
probably
I mean? Like,
not.
sure.
So
Yep.
I hadn't spoken to him in forever, and it was so nice to hear from him. Luke Presley
Hmm.
just DM'd me and was like, "Thank you for your video. every single one of your issues around trespassing has been fixed. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's a huge blocker, I feel like, right, for the feature itself.
yep. And unfortunately, you and I didn't get much time. Well,
Mm.
I had enough time to find out, honestly, but again, we'll tell the funny story on day 2 in a little bit. Um, the I didn't get to see how things went in day 2, but I did see a
Mhm.
server crash recovery, and that was one of the
Mhm.
big issues on day 1. If there was a server crash recovery, you were trespassing in your hangar just stopped working.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
they fixed that issue or whatever apparently.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a very weird one where if we were in a party together and they came through the hangar, they were considered trespassing. But
Yep.
if you went through the elevator, not in a ship, it was fine. We were all hanging out. And
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, one of my favorite aspects of this playtest was around that. So a couple
Mhm.
people joined my hangar. I spawned in a vehicle because I had the extra large hangar so we can get to either side. Extra large
Yep.
hangars have 1120 SCU, but they also have 2 freight elevators. They have one
As
on
do the
either
regular
side.
large. As
Yeah,
do the regular
large and
large.
extra
Yep.
large both have 2 freight elevators, and
Mhm.
they because you know how you have the actual lifts that go
Mhm.
to either side. So they have
Yep.
freight elevators on either side because they don't know where you're going to end up. But what that
Mhm.
creates is something very, very interesting and cool is that if somebody else is in your hangar, they can bring up their own stuff from their freight elevator.
Ooh.
So I was able to bring
Yeah.
up my guns, my ship weapons. He was able to bring up his ship weapons. We swapped them and we put them
Yep.
down into our freight elevators. They were never considered stolen or anything that as far as we can tell.
Mm.
So, in terms of like working together or something like that, it is very cool. Somebody in Twitch chat is asking, is that a bug or intended? Don't know. Hopefully it's intended because it is, I think that is
Yeah, that'd
a
be good for intended.
supreme amount of functionality that I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting with these. Like that opens up
Especially with,
working
like,
together.
the yeah, especially with, like, when you have the large and the extra large, it also means things like trying to fill up a Hercules that has, like, the front and the rear openings. It's like, cool, you can take half the cargo each or whatever and start putting it in either side.
Yep.
Makes that gameplay loop a little bit, less tedious.
Yeah. Oh, and it was seamless. Like my freight elevator
Yeah.
going up did not have to wait for theirs. We did it at the exact same
Yeah, yep.
time, and
Yep.
just like you said, it just kind of worked. So that was like super positive, super awesome. I was like, I didn't think could get more excited for the patch or more like this is I
Mhm.
really like what I'm seeing, and that was that even made me more motivated to want to dive deeper. Like I played that first playtest from the start to the finish. Well, I
Mhm.
saw like other random people posting YouTube videos midway through the test, and it was like, did you even see half of the test? Because like I know I'm going through like my list
Yeah,
of all these things that people wanted to know, and I'm not even close. So you are not testing; you are just trying to get to this stuff first, which is
I
not
will
going to work
admit,
out.
I did stop an hour before the test, not to make a video, but because I was falling asleep playing Star Citizen.
Well, you're Australia; it's a little different. The test ended at
Yeah,
like midnight for
it was
me.
like yeah, it ended at like midday for me, and I'd already been awake since like 3 p.m. the previous day. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So it's a little understandable on your
yeah,
side of things, but yeah, like I did the full test and then I made my video.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, who cares? You want to try to get to it first, go for it. The
yeah.
but I think so most of the time I was spending interacting with that.
Mhm.
What would you say was your favorite aspect of the test, or what other little tidbits did you
Yeah,
find? I
yeah.
mean, I gave a few of mine so far.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time just trying to mess around with cargo, just in general, because obviously that's like one of the biggest things. In addition to when we get the cargo missions, it'll
Yep.
presumably work this way. Is just purchasing cargo is completely different now, and then obviously loading your ship is completely different now. So I looked at all of that stuff, and I have opinions. Luckily,
Okay.
they are Evo Cardi opinions, so
Yes, should we
let's hope they
caveat
go a good
before
way.
because
Yeah,
have a very hard time understanding the difference.
yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
So first off, it is important to note the economy team have not yet implemented their wanted changes to like
Commodities.
cargo yet. Yeah, to commodities. So there's a lot of things that will not be the same maybe in like 3 days' time. But right now, you go to buy some cargo, you still go to the same like terminals that you previously did. You can now opt to either put it directly in your ship at the cost of time, not money, which I think is a issue. I think it should be a more of a money issue rather than a time issue.
Again,
Um,
I think the money is included. If we saw in, I'm actually like bringing it up right now. Is Inside
mhm.
Star System to and Fro from Cargo or something was the name of it?
Yeah,
There is a monetary thing included, but it was just like 100 credits. So
yeah, and
like
it was not in Ivocati as well. So like
yeah,
it's that's sort of what I'm saying is I'm hoping that they do that. And they've said that they want to do that.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's cost of time to just put it like directly into your ship,
Hmm.
or you can just put it into your like internal storage at whatever location you're at. So if you're at Lawville, just put it in Lawville,
Can
and
you
then you
talk
can
to
bring
me?
it all up through your freight elevator.
Do you mind talking to me a little bit more
Mhm.
about that? Because why am I pausing like it's a React video? I I've spent a lot more time with the inventory, and I did
Yeah.
not get the time as much with the actual commodities.
Mhm.
So I got this much time with it, and it was I bought a little bit of waste, and I chose the type of box that I wanted. There were
Yep.
limited quantities for each box size, which was very cool.
Mhm.
And well, not really. It was just the math wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yep.
each area, like the location that I was in, had 50 SCU of waste, let's say, and that only would add up to a certain amount of 16 SCU boxes. They couldn't go past
Yeah.
that
Yep.
because they only had 50. Um, so it's not really. I
Mhm.
have 16 SCU boxes. I have 32 SCU boxes. Whatever.
Yep.
But what I did like was I saw that there was one 16 SCU box labeled waste, and I
Yep.
slid it over to the other side, but it was
Mhm.
4x that uh,
Yeah.
of those containers. So I had 64 SCU of waste or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that the same
Um.
experience as you, or like I wasn't sure if that was a
Yes.
bug or not? Okay,
No, yes, that was the same experience. It's mostly a quality of life thing with how I'm just hoping they're going to change
stacking.
the actual like the stacking and like the UI and stuff. But yeah, like the labeling and stuff was all good for the most part. Once again, for those who don't know, now the way that it works is you buy them by the size. So you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. I don't remember if there was
24.
24s.
There is, yeah.
There was 24s, cool.
Hmm.
And 32 SEU boxes, which is great because it means you can mix and match. Because obviously, like maybe you can, well, obviously you can fit, like 60 SEU of cargo into like a Freelancer Max, but probably not with like 32 SEU boxes. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's been a while since I've been in Freelancer Max, but you sort of get what I'm saying. The
Yep.
shape of ships matters, and so this allows you to now fit stuff in how you want them. So it's like immediately a thing that previously CRG would not have put that as a feature in the game. It would have just given you a thing that messes you up completely.
Can I pause
But
you
anyway,
there for a second
yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
just a little bit? Is the previously, I believe in this video too,
Hmm.
mentioned concept of that was that other smaller, like large locations will be able to
Hmm.
work with large containers, and smaller locations will be able to work with only smaller containers.
Hmm.
Again, very Evo caveat. I don't think they added this system in yet. This system is missing completely as far as we can tell.
Hmm.
Even at small outposts, 32 SCU containers are possible. 120 SCU freight elevators at 32 SCU
Yep.
at those locations. Although on the second day, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, guys who were helping me out in Evo, because they did a lot of testing on the second day,
Hmm.
the the smallest hangar, which would be the same as the outposts, the biggest container that they can snap to the grid was 16 SCU.
Okay.
So even though the elevator states that it can go to 32 SCU, it likely will
Hmm.
not. It's just everything is like, well, let's go. I think
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like trying to get it out the door, and as
Hmm.
always, we're rushing things, and not everything is going to make sense
Yeah.
or perfect sense, I should say.
Yeah. So yeah, the purchasing of cargo worked nicely. So like yeah, once again, it goes into your if you are planning on loading it yourself, goes into your internal hangar. You go to the freight elevator, you bring them up. They're on the grid. Put it in your ship. Awesome.
Do you think you should be able to buy
Yeah.
and sell from your hangar, or do you not still like? Do you
Yes.
not mind going to the TDD?
Oh, like a terminal at your hangar?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd prefer it for sure.
it would be nice, but like, then would we
I don't
ever?
think CRG will do it.
No, because will we ever
It
go in the
changes
city?
like
You just will
it's
never
one of
walk
those
in the
like
city.
fundamental things of like CRG want you to explore everywhere all the time to see
Yeah.
all the cool like vistas and whatnot. But it gets once you've seen it a couple of times, you're done, right?
Yep.
So unfortunately, I think we'll be doing it all the time. However, I think with with freight elevators, you probably won't be selling as often if they do the economy properly, where it's like maybe you're sitting on certain amounts of cargo for like until it's the right price, you know?
Yeah, I don't see, just personally, I don't see that being a thing anytime soon, but I definitely see
Yeah,
that
no.
being an idea behind the system. Like, just like a lot of the things in 323, some of the things in 324 are more like setup. Freight elevators are setup, man. They're not necessarily like a standalone feature on their own. Like, man, I'm gonna be riding my freight elevator up and down. Wow, this gameplay is so fun. It's intended to enhance a lot of the content that we currently have and a lot of the content that's coming, right? And with no dynamic economy, obviously that system, or how about just one star system, that really can't work just yet, but it might
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah. So the one big problem I had with the cargo update, like the commodities changes and stuff, though, is how they've done the time requirements. And once again, I'm hoping that this all changes and very soon.
I was going to stop you earlier,
Yeah.
and I'm almost definitely going to be in agreement with you. So go ahead.
Yeah. So right now, if you want to like auto load your ship, it costs 30 seconds per SCU, not per box.
Not per
And there
box
is
type.
no variation. It is just straight up. If you have 32 1 SCU boxes, if you have a 32 SCU box, it's the same amount of time, just 30 seconds per SCU.
Yep.
That sucks for a lot of reasons.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
It is dumb. It is hopefully Evo placeholder, but it doesn't look that way. Like, I feel like they're like, oh, well, we can just change the time that it takes and things will be okay. And it's like, no, you don't. No. I'll let you go, because this was one of my least favorite things that I found in Evo.
Yeah. So the first thing is like, if you the way that I really wanted them to do this is like, you have a 1 SCU. First off, 30 seconds is way too long for a 1 SCU box, regardless. That needs to come way down. But
I mean, dude, honestly,
using that example,
let's be real though. If you did the actual moving yourself, it would be about 15 to 30 seconds per box. So I think that's where they're coming to that number from, is actual real world testing. Is like,
which is bad though. I don't think that's how it should be calculated. It should be.
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, I think
yeah.
that's where they're coming to that number from. But I'm with you. I'm with you. Don't worry.
Anyway, but yeah, so using the example of the 30 seconds, because that's what it was at the time, I was really hoping it would be like 30 seconds for 1 SCU box, 50 seconds for a single 2 SCU box, 45 seconds, sorry, like a minute and 10 seconds for a 4 SCU box. So it's like, it still increases, but like every time the box gets bigger, it's not just like, what is the multiple of 1 and then just have it be that. So it's like, if you have a bunch of 32 SCU boxes, like if you have 10 32 SCU boxes, it shouldn't take much longer. It'll take longer, but it shouldn't take much longer for you to move 10 32 SCU boxes than it should to take 10 1 SCU boxes. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I feel completely different though.
Okay.
I think let's use a distribution center that with trucks that you're familiar with. Let's maybe like an Amazon distribution center with a box truck or a van versus a giant port that deals with what would be our 32 SU boxes, right? It is not a time issue as much as it is um a equipment and cost. Like we expressed that there was no cost involved, right?
At the
Maybe,
moment, yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully that changes. Yeah.
maybe time should be per box, very
Hmm.
similar, like you said, but the cost to move a 32 SU container should be more than the cost to move a 1 SU container. Because,
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
somebody small, like an individual, can move a 1 SU container, but maybe,
Mhm.
and I don't want to suggest this because if we look at the way the game functions currently, we're able to move a 32 SU container with a multi tool.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
like that. And I
yeah,
think going away from that will create unneeded friction with the tractor beams and all those things, and would make the game less fun.
yeah.
It
The
honestly would.
only the only thing I'll take about that comparison is I don't think it's quite as accurate as a comparison for Star Citizen because you're not
No.
filling up a truck versus a tanker. It's like you're filling up a big tanker. How easy will it be to fill it up with 1,000 small boxes versus one large box? You know what I mean? That's sort of the
Yes.
comparison. It will take much longer in real life to do those 1,000 small boxes versus that one large box, even if they have the same amount of container space.
We are in
And so
100%
yeah,
agreement because
yeah,
it should be per box and not per SCU.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, per box.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with modifying the timers and what like that, but like I want to see people be incentivized to carry larger boxes in their ships so that they're also then like it helps the loop a ton. It makes it so that like
It helps
there's
performance.
yep, helps performance. It makes it like more interesting to do stuff like piracy when it's not just every single person has tons of single SCU boxes of like a billion different commodities. Um, yeah, more efficient, all that sort of stuff. So um, I'm hoping all that sort of stuff changes. The time, make it cost money in different variations, all that sort of stuff. And I think CIG are probably thinking the same thing right now because it's too much. It's too much right now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of so for an example, a full
Mhm.
C2 is approximately 5 hours and 40 minutes. Okay?
Yep.
So people, like, I mentioned that in my video, and that was the most significant comments that I saw, especially
Mhm.
the negative ones.
Yep.
And I I think that they are absolutely justified in being frustrated, and I think we're going to have that system when this goes live. I don't foresee that
You don't think
system
that'll
change.
change?
I when 324 goes live, to be
Okay.
like, that doesn't mean that 324 is the end of the
Yeah, yeah,
cargo
yeah. I get
update,
what you mean. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I just don't think there's enough time to change it.
I think it's likely that we'll see. Maybe we won't see the implementation of like a cost, but I think it's likely that we'll see the actual time for the loading go down.
Yes, but I don't think we'll see
Yeah.
it be per box.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I get you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm referencing, is like the
Yeah.
the fundamental change that not just you two, like, us two are think
Hmm.
is needed, that I think the entire community believes that is needed, because it just
Hmm.
is logic and makes sense. There is no
Yep.
reason why 600 boxes should take the same amount of time as 20. It just
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you could just apply cost to that, and then
Yeah.
go crazy.
There is
Uh,
also like once again that all of that discussion was with the caveat of like the commodities changes have not really been implemented yet. It very well could be the case that there's like a reason they did this so that manual loading is way more profitable than like it than cargo is right now. You know what I mean? So like if you what would you say 4.5 hours for a C2?
5 hours and 40 minutes.
More over 5.5 hours for the C2 to load. The commodity changes could mean that it's like, no, that's going to take you what, 30 to 40 minutes, maybe if you're slow to do it yourself manually. If the commodity changes have made it more profitable to do that, then
Hmm.
maybe that'll be okay. I don't know. We need to see it more. Let us know if you hear us, YouTube.
Okay, you should see yourself
Hmm.
now. I got to get my cam on, and I'm going to turn on the stream on Twitch. So my UPS just shit the bed, basically. It's there. It should have held the
Yep.
internet up. It should have held the stream up, and it just instantly died after a lightning strike. So,
Jeez.
yeah.
Apparently, YouTube can hear and see us.
Okay, beautiful. So sorry about that, but yeah, I had again a little bit of a lightning storm, and it's still
Yep.
continuing. So fingers crossed that won't happen again, but there's a chance it won't. I have a replacement battery coming, but it's not here yet.
Yep.
So, and then I'm trying to fix my camera, and then we'll be good to go.
Alrighty. Just do one without Mike again. True. Guys, don't worry. I've got Mike. I've got Mike right here. There he is. He never left. He's been here the whole time.
There we are. So what were we saying?
Who knows, honestly. I think we were talking about crafting. We're usually talking about crafting. No, welcome back everyone. We had a little bit of an issue there. So also if you're watching on the VOD, don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't notice.
We were talking about loading boxes and all that sort of stuff. I think, yeah, in general, we had like the same sort of ideas that we want money to be involved, to mess around
Time
with like
per box, not per SCU.
Yeah, time per box. Exactly. And then, yeah, there's a lot of things that they can do. There's a lot of things that aren't in the Evocati patch yet that may alter these things as well. So I'm optimistic about it just because, once again, it's a feature that essentially worked. And I'll take that for the most part.
Yep.
Because it still does enough to the rest of the gameplay loop to make it interesting.
Exactly. Doesn't mean you can't get feedback on it, but it
Yep, exactly.
Did you go to any outposts?
Outposts didn't exist when when I went there. I spent maybe an hour and a half and then decided to stop spending that time trying to get to an outpost during the Evocati patch. Half the time the servers would crash, which once again, Evocati, of course.
Yep.
And then when I did finally go to one, it just wasn't there. The location just didn't exist when I quantumed to it. So
okay, cool. Well, I could give a little insight into that then. At least is they do exist, and they have freight elevators at them. Again, 120 SU, just like we saw in that sneak peek a while ago, and yeah, they're open, just like we saw as well. How much cargo is at them? Can't tell you off the top of my head. I didn't go to them. I was watching through Discord, one of my guys going when I was just farting around in the hangar trying to deal with all of the other bugs and issues that we had. But the interesting thing is that Drug Labs and Jumptown, some of them do not have cargo terminals, and all of them do not have any freight elevator at all, which is a bit interesting. But again, like we had spoken, commodity thing isn't done yet. That could be a big part of it. Other interesting thing is on this past week's ISC, which I should bring up now, actually, to try and find this. We got to look at a different type of freight elevator, and it's going to be very hard to find because they showed it for like half of a second. These are in Stanton, but they are located only, as far as we could tell, at the salvage yard. So like Samson and Sons, Brio's Breaker Yard, things like that. They do not have the cover over them like we've seen in the other freight elevator.
Also, they're just outposts. Like open.
Yeah, because I don't think you buy much from those locations, which is weird because the salvage yard you probably should be buying some things from. But it is more for like it almost appears like they're just used to drop off. Or here I found them. The other idea here is that it's the pyro version is what I thought, and ISC kind of confirmed that. So let me go ahead and show that. Is oops, I don't know what I just pressed. And bam. So this, let me go back a little bit and you'll see them. There they are, but this is the open. This is what is at like Samson and Sons and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
See
a
how it's
lot of interesting
open?
dynamics as well. Yeah. I do
And
like that, first off, but yeah.
yeah, the mule being a thing is hilarious as well.
One
But
day.
yeah, so there's two different types of outpost freight elevators.
Yep.
One thing that I didn't see anyone check is like Pickers Field, which was like a big popular
Yep.
spot, obviously in this patch, and
Hmm.
was a very curious one. Will these have that those things there? And we'll see.
Mm.
So
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Um, the fact that they're open brings a lot of kind of cool ideas and dynamics for like the future gameplay of this too. Because like, while once again, right now, most of these locations are still like armistice.
yeah,
Um, like stealing someone's cargo because after they've brought it up out of the elevator is like a theoretical possibility now, and like it being easy because you've got the sort of open spot. It's less secure. Um,
but
I like
we
that.
also
I like
have
that.
the
That's cool.
laws now, which are good.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can crime stat those people for doing it.
Hmm.
Just the punishment for that crime wasn't very. It was 20K per box that you interact with, but
Okay.
I didn't see the crime stat be high enough to the point where you would get
Mm,
a tier 3, and then
yeah.
be hit with you know the god marker on you and bounties and stuff. So it just comes down to whatever they want to do with that. But 20K per
Yeah.
box touched. The only thing that is 20K per SEU at least is uh, what Quantanium. But most
Yeah.
boxes you're going to be
Well,
interacting with are going to be larger than one SEU.
yeah, but I mean, if you're yoinking people's cargo, you're not paying that fee ever. So, like, yeah, it needs to be that the crime stat is higher because that's the only actual repercussion that would be relevant.
Exactly. Who's going to pay that
Yeah.
fee? And you can also spread that fee across multiple people, and even
Hmm.
if you're like to try to not get the crime stat. So I don't know. It's a weird one they'll have to figure out. But
Yeah.
I expect much trolling come 324 at Outpost.
Yeah.
So much trolling.
Um, shall we talk about one of the other things that's a bit that has been a bit controversial about Evocati from a lot of people I've been talking to, which is probably the
Please.
first thing most people will interact with when they get in, which is the
Item bank.
I can't think of what. Yes, the item banks.
They called
So
it something new, but yeah, item banks.
yeah, so this is where you're going to get out your like all of your FPS items and pretty much nothing else. I doubt there'll be any other reason for you to get anything that isn't like armor, weapons, meds out of those storage access. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it is. It feels like it should have been obvious to me that this meant it was going to take a significantly longer amount of time to now gear up every time you go to a location, but it just felt way worse than I thought it was going to.
Bro, like I don't know what is wrong with these people when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand physicalizing the location.
Hmm.
Oh, did you hear that? There's like thunder, and I'm like, oh, you hear it, and I'm
If
like,
it
is
cuts out in a
everything gonna
sec.
go? Is everything gonna go out? I totally understand physicalizing the location. That is in
Mhm.
hundreds of other games, right? You got to go to a
Yeah.
location to access your inventory. Pressing tab or I or whatever in other games only it usually interacts with whatever's on your person, right? In my
Hmm.
little backpack, in my pouch, whatever. That's totally normal to
Yep.
separate these systems. Totally normal. What
Yep.
is not normal is taking functionality that you already had away and removing it. So the idea
Yep.
now is, Croncy, you are the storage location.
Hmm.
I am my inventory, or in this case, the drawer. And
Yep.
Croncy has 3 guns and some armor. And I have to individually click all the items, click, 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 then click another button to shoot them over to the drawer. And then I have to click another button to open the drawer, which guess what it does? Opens basically the old inventory. Then
Hmm.
I have to click all of those items onto my character. What the
Yep.
fuck? Like,
You know
honestly,
what this should
what
have
the
been?
fuck?
What this should have been, and because I know that they introduced this as a way to, like a lot of other mechanics in Star Citizen, immersion, blah blah blah.
This
right?
is not immersive. This is
Which
just stupid.
that's the thing. That's one argument to that isn't even very solid. What they should have just done is just have it be an interactable that just works as the current as the current inventory.
Yeah.
I use this interactable. I now have access in the exact same way. The only difference is that I'm pressing for everything I want to do now. I've got to press two buttons, load out, like move out, and then move into the drawer. It makes no sense. The drawer does not need to exist at all because it just makes no difference. So
But guys,
yeah, did
guys,
not
we
like that
bring
at
it
all.
to the level of realism and then we bring it back to the level of fun. You know what? Don't be fucking stupid and realize what's fun before you make the systems and continuously waste our time. And not our
Yeah.
time in game, waste our time and our money developing this game. That's the part that pisses me off. Is you know full well this system is fucking stupid and that it doesn't make any sense. So why is it in the game? Why did you invest time into it? Anybody who thinks that this would be good, just sorry, it is just not, and you're just not. Your priorities are not in the right place. It is just silly to me. And like, yeah, the immersion part is going to the location. The immersion part is not pressing I and having access to this endless inventory of an entire city somehow. And every location I go to having an inventory that I magically have access to. That's the part that needed to be removed. This other shit, what? That's the part. And again, this is an Evo and this has a chance to change, but these are all like pretty baked in, like
Features,
somewhat polished looking UI features. The only thing that's missing from the UI that I saw in old UI is a search option. So in the old UI that they showed in the to and fro from cargo video, where the UI was like really holographic, is there was a little search thing at the top. So they intended for there to be search there and things and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But
search stuff will come regardless of what this ends up being.
100%. Like this isn't a we rushed it out so it's not finished thing. This is a we made poor decisions and we were okay with making them. And now we're going to have to get defensive when our community gets mad about it. But at some point, we have to expect them to do better. And this is one of those examples.
It feels like, I don't remember, there was another feature that did something similar to this. I don't remember what it was. But like, it feels like they had the concept of the freight elevators ready. And they were like, all right, this like works. And I do think freight elevators are okay because you're not just pulling out a piece of armor, a gun. You're pulling out like massive amounts of cargo. And they were just like, well, we can just copy that for our like, you know, personal cargo, and it just does not work at that scale, and it doesn't solve really any of their issues except for you have to go to a specific location. You are still pulling things out of thin air, so it doesn't solve that part of the immersion, right? It is just adding extra time to your setup, and that issue is exasperated because of how easy it is to get killed in the game still, right? Which hopefully our good friend, not Duncan, Zach has talked a little bit about, like there may be some stuff coming with like getting down and whatnot. But all of that stuff is exasperated because the game requires so much setup every time you play. So any additional time onto that is just breaking the camel's back over and over again. So I did not like it. The UI worked and it looked okay-ish, but the actual gameplay sucked. Hated it.
Yeah. Like like I watched Morph's video where he gave very similar feedback to what we're giving now. Now, the one thing that I think he didn't touch on, and I think maybe some other people didn't recognize as much, is like the Void Dude example, I think is one of the best ones. Is this guy has 15 railguns, tons of armor, tractor beams, and everything at every Jumptown location.
Yep.
Before Jumptown even starts, like, and then is able to access it 100 meters away from the actual location, be in a sperm suit, and then geared up instantly and just clapping people, right? Like so the idea that we need to remove things was good. Again, I am just touching on the actual way that you interact with the system. How do you have a meeting with this and say, ship it? You know what? Love that. Love that for you. And like, I think I've been very positive about most of the features that I've seen today. this,
And we've still got more to talk about as well. So.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was one of the ones where it was like, guys, you have to be better. This is unacceptable at this point. You must be better. There's no way, there's no defense for this. No defense. Be better.
Yep.
End of story.
So yeah, like this is one of the first times where I would actually genuinely advocate for them to remove the system.
Yep.
It is the first feature where I've been like, this is just objectively worse
Yep.
than the last, like the previous version of the feature,
Click
and
on the
changes
button.
nothing.
Click on the button.
Right.
Open the old UI, please. Thank you. See you later.
Yep.
I can.
Yep.
Guess what I could do in the old UI? I can shift click something over to my backpack. Guess what I could do in the old UI? I could double click something and it goes into my character. Why the hell are we taking that away?
The old UI still exists, but it only is going to exist for
After you open the
players
drawer.
when you're Well, yeah, the drawer, if you're interacting with like a large box that you've stored a bunch of cargo in, which I will get to in a second because I do like that.
Please talk to me because I haven't done that yet.
Like, or just like in ship storage, right?
Yep.
All of the inventory still works there for that stuff.
Yep.
It's just now when you're first setting up every day, it's just worse.
It's this mishmash of 3 different UIs, none of which are good. They all have their flaws. So it's like maybe we're just in this weird middle ground, but the item banks or whatever storage access or whatever they're calling it does not feel. It feels like this is what they wanted to go with, and it's like, bro, no, this isn't some early Evo shit. That it was just bad. So go ahead. I want to hear about the cargo containers. Also, I know people are starting to hear the thunder now, so fingers crossed.
It's gonna be a short episode today.
Yeah, it's right over the top of me.
So all of that being said about the new like personal cargo drawers, I'm never gonna need to use them because I'm just gonna be buying the massive the massive personal storage containers that originally came into the game like a couple of patches ago, I believe, right?
Yep.
I
think
putting them into my freight elevator.
But
yeah, putting them into my freight elevator and just going, this is my gun box, this is my armor box, this is my whatever box, and just when I'm setting up for whatever cargo I'm going to be doing or whatever with my large ships, I'm just going to be grabbing the inventory from there. So yeah, I'm glad that we can do that now in a good way. Like someone just said in the Twitch chat, we do need labels for those boxes. Please, CIG. That would be a massive quality of life improvement.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm glad that we can do that now. So
yeah, agreed. So, and I'm glad that the system is quite easy to interact with because that's not something I was able to do actually during the test. I dealt with the first day. I dealt with a ton of crashes. Oh, can I quickly talk about my second day? Absolute hilarity.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Dude, it was so funny. So, okay, day 2, I'm like one of the first people into the patch. I choose Area 18 because I assume it's going to be a little bit less people there. Get into my elevator right away. Server crash recovery right away. Instantly 30K right after. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be like this today. Hop right back in.
Good old Evo.
Yeah, hop back right in. Area 18, I see a billion people saying 07s. I think you were one of the people that were there. And then all of a sudden, I see running. It's just everybody's running for the freight elevators, right?
Yeah.
20, 30 people at Area 18. How many lifts? How many times have you used a lift when somebody else is at a station and their lift comes to your lift and you see them there and you're like, oh, hey, dude.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. Well, it wasn't fucking funny in this case. Because
I mean, it sounds like it's going to be hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but it was actually like, it was ridiculous. There's 2 lifts or 1 lift. There's only 1 or 2 lifts. That's it for an entire city. So it was like Benny Hill, dude. There was a dude who was going to one elevator, smashing it, going inside, and then you'd see the same idiot going out on the other side and then running across and doing the same thing over and over again. So
Evo testing, Mike. They just try to make sure the elevators are working correctly.
Yeah, Evo testing, and this is the best we have, is just absolute brain dead people. So I started losing my mind in both voice chat in game and typing it in Twitch chat. I was like, this is like this. There's no way these are the smartest and brightest that we have. There's no way that now I understand why Wave 1 is always so bad. because look at the people. They have no idea. So I start yelling. I got a
Yep.
bunch of people. They were probably all British to queue in a line.
Yep.
And
Nice.
it took about an hour, but everyone got their freight elevator. Where nobody got their freight elevator leading up to it. So I never went through. I never got to my elevator until about 5 minutes before I had to leave because I let
Mhm.
everyone else go because I knew I was going to have to leave anyway. So it was better if they tested than if I did. And
Yep.
yeah, but we were watching people skip the line and everything,
Yeah,
and
yep.
then they were doing the same thing. They could never get to the elevator because they were skipping the line because it
See,
was
this is why
just
we need an
you.
in-game bounty system. That person skipping the line, we need to punish them immediately. Let's get a
This is
crime committed on them.
this is why we need to be able to shoot people at cities. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
We should have been able to blast everybody that was going in the elevators and let the good
Yep.
people go. Because basically, like all of those people lost an
Mhm.
hour of testing because people are fucking stupid.
Yep.
And it was just
Yep.
it was actually idiotic. Like, how do you play this game and not know that that's what's going on? So it was like, okay,
Yep.
everybody calm down, two at a time, and we'll be good. It would have taken 10 minutes and we would have all gotten to our elevators. Because what'll
Yeah, yep.
happen is you go into the elevator and you see the other person's elevator. You don't see
Mhm.
yours. Because just because you called it doesn't mean the button's going to say your name. It says the
Yep.
name of the first person who called it. So I
Mhm.
was in Jack Axton's elevator. That was the only one
Yeah,
I was
yep.
able to see, right? Because he called it and then I called it, and that's when I realized was like, oh shit, this is going to be a problem. So then it was
Mhm.
like, all right, take it easy. So
Yep.
I tried to get everybody to queue. It worked eventually when everybody kind of gave up, realizing that nothing else was working. Their spamming the
Yep.
button was not working, but it was absolutely hilarious. And like people were typing in the chat, I'm getting in the queue because I don't want Mike to yell at me and stuff like that. But it was like, dude, we're losing time on this test. This is horrible.
Yeah,
And
yep.
so I missed the entire second day's test because I got home at midnight. I went to sleep, and by the time my stream was done, they took the test down. So I never got to really test on day two because all these elevator idiots.
People say that Star Citizen doesn't have dynamic content. Uh, it's all the creators that they've added into to Evocati. They're the worst.
True.
Um,
Just there to make
uh,
content.
yeah. Speaking of the elevators, the actual feature itself. So yeah, obviously elevators are completely different in how you actually get into your hangar now. If you call the elevator, and in my experience, you didn't have to like do anything at the outside terminal. If you just call the elevator, as long as you're not in the situation that Mike just described, the elevator will come up. You'll go inside, and there will just be an option to go to like Croncy's large hangar, and it'll
That
just
was like
take
a
you straight there.
50-50 for me, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I had a button,
yeah.
sometimes I didn't. So
It
theoretically
seems
it
it
should
seems like
work
it's
the way
more
Croncy said.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I imagine so.
Yep.
And so then yeah, then you can go down to your hangar. Um, uh, I imagine you got to experience this, Mike, because I didn't. Apparently, you can auto load your ships, like quick load your ships, if you do use the outside, like the regular
Correct.
ASOP terminals. So
Yep.
good, because that was a big concern I had during the playtest. I
Also
just never got
caused
around to
other
doing that.
bugs
Yeah, of course.
where it would give you different size hangars. Even though I had an extra large, I also had a small. That's
Yes.
how I was able to actually find out all the sizes of the
Hmm.
like the freight elevator sizes, is because
Yep.
between our group we had every size elevator. So we just told each other,
Yeah.
oh, I have 1120. Oh, you have 224. Okay, cool. 890.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I
So
wonder. I
that's how
wonder
we
what that
know.
happens, because that's definitely like the intentional mechanic for when you go to
It's the
spaceports, which I did do
yeah
because I
old
wanted to check
legacy
out.
slash
Yeah,
spaceports.
but now they just have freight elevators in them,
Hmm.
so it's essentially the same thing.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Just a wee
Persistence
bug.
was, yeah,
Just a
yeah,
little
just a
bug.
small one.
Mhm.
Persistence was something that was very hard to test in the hangars because the servers were crashing every 30 minutes.
My mole bag
Yeah,
stayed.
interesting. Like through a crash or like through a
Yeah.
logout or what? Yeah.
Through server crash recovery.
Oh, sure. That I would expect. I would
Yeah.
expect it to recover through that. But the actual like persistence of like log off, log back in, everything is where you left it in your hangar
No.
is a bit hard to test. Yeah.
No. So crashed. So remember the 30K on day 2? When
Hmm.
I did get back to my ASOP terminal, I had the claim button. I did not have a store button. I did not have
Yep.
a retrieve button. I had a claim button. Big
And
problem.
you weren't able to get into your hangar to see if it was still there?
I got into my hangar. It was not there.
It was not there. Okay.
Yep.
Fair
And
enough.
that's when I left for, that was like the last thing I
Yep.
wanted to do before I left for hockey. I was like, yep,
Yeah,
it's not there. And I should have never went to hockey. This team sucks. And
Mm.
we lost and it was just horrible. And I got a nasty bruise, really
Yeah.
nasty bruise.
I just want to. I shouldn't respond to this comment, but the person who said, "Is anything actually working?" This is an Evo Cardi patch, my friend.
And
Of course, nothing is working.
And we explained like 90% of the features that are listed on the patch notes were working, and there was just some
Yeah.
feedback to give with them.
Yeah. Oh my god, there's so many other things. One thing I noticed that was just like a quick offhand thing is that the C2 also had all of its engineering stuff in place in the patch, rather than just the A2. So they're we know that they're getting ready to put that in 4.0. So
Yep.
sure, that makes sense.
I'm sure the 10 ships that they said that they were working on, I'm sure there's others as well.
Yeah, I also imagine 2 of those 10 ships are the C2 and the M2. Just like it's it's a pretty quick place from the A2, right?
Yeah. Can we talk
man,
AC? Did you go into AC at all?
No. What's up in AC?
Okay, AC you could carry lowered. The recoil is so much
like your
punchier.
guns carried lowered.
Yeah, right altar or left altar, you can carry your gun lowered. But what's funny is if you left click, it brings the gun back up. If you right click, it puts your gun away. Where right click, if you see somebody, what's the first thing you're probably going to do, especially in a game that wants you to aim down sights? You're going to try to aim down sights and your gun's going to go away. So that might be a little bit of a mistake. But the big thing is light enhancement optics are in the game now.
Ooh, hell yeah.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, yeah. And they are awesome. And to be very clear, it's light enhancement. It is not night vision. So if there is no light, it does not work. It enhances the light that's there. They're awesome. They are too powerful because you could turn them on and off. If you hit shift while aiming down sights, it turns them off and turns them on. They should just be light enhancement or off, in my opinion, or extremely hard to find and not just in the Arena Commander menu like they were. So
sure.
Yeah. But the recoil, like let's say, for example, the LMG is like I had to pull my mouse so far down. So it's I think and then even like the P4AR like was shaking all over the screen a lot more. So it's just more punchy. Maybe it's a bit much, but it made the guns feel a little bit more unique from each other. Definitely made LMGs feel more like an LMG instead of an SMG. So
yeah. Hell yeah. Awesome. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it though on that front. I'm trying to think of other things related to that, but
there's definitely things we're going to have missed. And if you want to tell us what we've missed, make sure you get in. Well, actually, we've definitely got too many callers today. But definitely in a couple of weeks' time, when we have room for callers, make sure you call in.
I don't even know who to add to number 4 and 5 right now.
Yeah, just
I don't know the order.
The Evo test.
So I don't know who to grab. So you pick one and I pick one. I'm picking Moldan because he's one of the guys that I've played with. You pick somebody else.
Sure. But yeah, for the most part, I think that's pretty much it. Do we want to quickly talk about SCL?
The mods picked random
ones. Because we just talked about the Evo patch for an hour, and I imagine we're going to be talking about it a lot during the calls.
Yes, and we got to talk. We'll take 5 minutes for SCL because I don't think it was amazing. It deserves your watch. It deserves your hour, but I don't think we need to talk about it for more than 5 minutes. So SCL was all about cargo missions, which are not in the game. They're not in the game currently. They're not in Evo. Through just Elliot Maltby, there's a bug that they're really trying to nail down where, surprise, surprise, when you complete a mission, it doesn't complete all the time. It completes like 50% of the time is what they were saying. So once they nail that down, I think we're going to see them. So hopefully early this week. But they went through and showed us what a mission, how they make a mission, but more importantly, the progression of the said missions, as well as just their thought process behind things. So I'll just bring up a few slides. I think that's really the main
Yeah.
the main bit of content. So this was one slide that they showed, which is basically trying to add some logic to what types of missions, how much cargo is going to be moving between areas, and so on and so forth. So little outposts are going to move to distribution centers in small quantities, as well as distribution centers moving up to LEO stations, or from LEO stations down to distribution centers in a little bit larger quantities. For example, the mission that we saw was supply grade. Supply grade was 80 to 112 SCU, right? So your freelancers and stuff like that, or your freelancer maxes, I should say. And then bulk grade is more like your whole C-type missions that are going from LEO stations to jump points and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So they gave us a good look at that. It makes a lot of sense. I like it. Oh my god. It makes
I did hear some of the thunder just before.
Yeah, like it's
getting closer.
crazy today. It is summer in Florida, everyone.
Yep.
The lightning's right here. Yeah, everybody can hear it. So yeah, it's
It's because CIG have struck lightning with this patch, guys.
Yeah, my wife is working and saving her project every 30 seconds.
I'm on Premiere.
Set your autosave to 30 seconds. But so
I watched this for maybe 30 minutes just before the pod.
Okay.
And yeah, I got to see this. I do love this just because this is like it feels like a shipping 101 course presentation for like some sort of like university like course, right? It's just like, hey guys, here's how cargo works. Yeah, here's how supply chains work, right?
So
but I like that because I want them to have that sort of stuff in mind.
I think this is really cool. It's very difficult to see, but they have all these missions for like, these are all iron missions, and there are missions for each thing. And then you could see, well, even through mining, we know that iron is very prevalent around Hurston in comparison to other places. It's even kind of based on the color. Like, look, Daymar is a little bit more red, therefore iron.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Connected to the lore team and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, so they made some really cool, like, logical choices here, as well as what jump points may be purchasing for now. And obviously, I think this list will grow significantly once we get Pyro and other things. Conveniently, something that they mentioned that I don't know is if it's one of those devs just brainstorming or an actual real thing. They mentioned fuel as a commodity, as well as ammunition as a commodity. So we'll have to see. Because like, there are non-metal. We don't really know. We can't read all of this. But there's unrefined ore, there's refined ore, there's other. So there's all sorts of things that are going on here. Very cool. We like it. We love it. So I love to see all that. Then big piece of the puzzle is, I'll find it eventually, right here. The progression system. Through missions. You have your, like, think bounty hunting, and you get your different levels and stuff like that. So small grade is low amounts of cargo. Supply grade, medium amounts of cargo. Bulk grade, lots of cargo. But then they have what early and late mean. So higher trust means obviously you need more rep to get it. Higher volume, higher value, higher difficulty, and higher risk. We'll have to see what risk actually means. Are they going to spawn NPCs at the locations we're going to? Are we going to get interdicted more often? Obviously there's player versus player things that are involved here. How does that play out? Are these missions going to be like, I don't know, Wake of Disaster somehow? So we'll have to see what they're going with that. It's hard to tell for right now, but in general, I see a nice progression system that I really don't have any complaints about. So, cool.
Other than rewards.
Well, that's what we'll get to now, and let's see if we can see the final reward that spits out that people lost their mind about. This is not the real number. So let me maybe scroll back just a tiny bit. 80 to 112 SCU of titanium was moved from where I forgot, somewhere on a planet to a distribution center, I think, to Crusader L1 for 4,250 credits. Number one, they put up on the screen, none of these prices are final. That was one of the things. But you got to kind of think that it's pretty. Oh yeah, Seraphim to Crew L1, so even easier. But
yeah, super quick. That's incredibly fast.
Super quick. But the idea here is this is the amount of minutes they believe it will take, about 10. So they think that okay, multiply that by 6. How much money are we making? Is that an appropriate amount of money to make per hour? And then everybody chimes in and goes, when I do this, I make this much per hour. When I do that, I make this much per hour. When I do that, I make this much per hour. Okay, cool. Agreed.
Yep.
Number one, Star Citizen is pay to win. So you are making more with your Vulture than this very early level mission that would be kind of in your typical MMO happening when you're a low level. You are automatically a high level because you have the high level ship. So you have skipped all of this and you have moved past this system in general. Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. I'm going to be interacting with these no matter how much I make because I kind of like this style of gameplay. So I'm going to be biased. So I'm going to look at the number and care less about it than your average person. Because guess what money means in Star Citizen right now? It doesn't mean shit. I don't care how much I'm making. I just want to enjoy myself. And I think I will enjoy myself doing this, possibly. But what do you think about this when you see the kind of number? Do you feel the same way? Or do you think that, like, I obviously think some of these things are going to change. But before you chime in, Elliot Malpe was here before the podcast, and he said there is a wider initiative going on by the economy team to try and bring everything more in line. So the idea here is those rewards that you're mentioning are probably not going to be possible anymore. But then there's the opposite side of it is, well, grinding for ships is going to be like impossible now.
An actual thing. Yeah. If this number was like once again, if they said this number is correct, this is what's coming in the patch. This is for a mission for about not even 4 million kilometers, like 1.5 million kilometers. Incredibly close. They explicitly make it no combat, like the super easy difficulty, like all of it's like super baseline, the boring version of like every mission, right? For this amount of money, yes, I would expect that right now in the game. What I want to see is how these missions pan out when they change it so that, this is a cargo mission that has possibility of combat. This is one that's a lot longer, further away. I need to see all of the other missions before I can even say if this is fine, but I do think it's fine, if that makes sense.
Can I put it into perspective? That's one backpack.
Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, like, the people that accept these missions, like, this is the brain dead mission. And I feel like there's the brain dead mission variant of every, like, loop. And it should always reward less. Yeah.
Salvage missions are pretty brain dead.
True, but salvage has been broken for a while.
Salvage already went through its rework.
Yeah, it needs another one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So we'll have to see what they do here. But I think the one thing that I do fear, and I had mentioned this when they had made the changes to the prices of the ship, they came in too early because people are now going to be like, okay, well, if you lower it this much, I can't afford anything. I can't, like, it's going to be tough because even if they lower all the other missions, these are the closest. The way they've described the cargo missions, and again, you got to finish the SEL is pretty good. The way they described everything,
I got to like this part and then I had to stop.
Yeah, the way they described everything, the way they kind of thought through everything, these feel very close to what I would expect for a 1.0 in terms of cargo missions. Is the cost or the price or any of that? No, but in general, the idea that they're going for here is it's logical, it makes sense, it's something they can easily build upon in a dynamic economy with crafting, everything. It's all there. It should just plug and play a lot easier if they designed it well, as far as the code or whatever, right? So there's that. That's a super positive, in my opinion. That's really, really good. I think the issue here that a lot of people suffer with Star Citizen is the idea of the game is very repetitive. If you like to do bunkers, you're going to the same bunker over and over again. It's not that the amount of money you're making isn't enough. The amount of fun you tend to have is not enough for you to want to grind for the ships that are currently in the game. Is the vibe that I'm getting from most people, the way they describe it. It's the way I feel. So when you start to see rewards like this, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we touched on this a lot. A lot of people in Twitch chat are complaining that we're not at callers yet. So maybe we should move on.
It's the first time I've ever seen Twitch chat want callers.
Yeah, they usually complain about the callers. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think it's just saying, Mike, shut up.
My final thing on it will just be, if it does come out in this release that the cargo missions don't pay out the amount that people expect, or like way less than the people expect, because it'll never be how much people want. That'll be a little bit different, because we often have the case where it's like when a new loop comes in, it's insanely profitable right off the get-go. Which
that has to stop.
Whatever incentive that's for, sure. But like if this happens, that won't be the case. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it comes out this week to another PvP patch.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's jump into our callers. And
no questions for the show today, but I'm going to save some next week. I'm going to grab some next week. Yeah,
it's fine. We got a ton of callers anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Space Monkey, how you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Super delayed. I couldn't bring him down.
Good.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Good. I mean, awesome to be back. Even it's been a while. To add to the SCL stuff, I mean, I would agree with Croncy, because the sample size we have from that presentation is not big enough. So you have this example for a starter mission, and you don't know what is on the next, on rank 2, I would say, rank 3, how much they pay out. And even Elliot told you in the Twitch chat that he sees missions up to 200k. So I don't know if it's just per mission or per hour, but 200k plus for a cargo mission where you don't have to buy the cargo, so it's not your own risk.
Quote unquote risk free.
Reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. Also like the SCL, because you saw progression in it. It's like this key trigger word that triggers me and Mike, obviously.
you just saw intention and thought, and this is not as tier 0 as we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One question, because I only saw a picture of that. So you can put down chairs and all other furniture.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the furniture at all.
I didn't get to. Okay, I had a bunch of furniture bought, and I could not get to it because it was crashing. Like, this is just an Evo thing, guys, and they closed the test, and then we got screwed on the timing of when they did the test. Wanted Tiger was one of the people in mine. He put stuff down. He said they stayed.
Hell yeah!
There you go. Is there like a holographic thing, like it stays put where you put it, kind of thing? We'll have to see. And I imagine there's going to be some goofy stuff where like you can sit in a chair and somebody can tractor beam it onto a cargo grid on a ship that is exterior, and you can fly it away in a hull A or something, right? No snapping.
I did hear,
and they move too easily. Okay.
Yeah. I did hear a lot of people talking about, or not a lot, a few people talking about how they're just going to convert their like Hercules into a rec room with all of the furniture. Because I didn't even think about just putting it on my massive ships in my cargo holds and just having a little space there. It's kind of cool.
Well, that's also my point, because the picture I saw was they attached a chair to the cargo grid, and I thought, now I can convert every cargo ship into a dropship, because just put a chair in it.
Damn, Cutlass Steel gets shafted again. Rip.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a mount for a Gatling gun at some point. You just like put it on the grid and then shoot
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of your spaceship.
Yeah,
That would be
there
fun.
were chairs, there were tables, there was love seats, there was couches. One of the chairs was like there were some flight seats, like Drake flight seat was a chair and stuff like that, and they're all
Yeah.
between like
Mm.
2K and 18K, somewhere in that range. So that would be 2 cargo missions or
Mhm.
6 cargo missions, however you want to look at it, for a chair.
Yeah. On a similar note, and this is but Space Monkey, were you in Evocati?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, regardless, this is still a question for both of you. The trolleys also existed in game. I was not able to get them to work.
My group did. They're 19K, 12 SCU. They can hold, but like it just seems like RP. Like, why would you do?
Why
this?
would you use them? Why would you not use a tractor beam?
Exactly. It's just it's just RP.
I mean, in the hangar, I would say so. But if you go to a distribution center and maybe do like a cargo extract stuff, then I would say they are useful because then you can put it in. And I don't know how long.
Yeah, if you go to the one place where the FPS mission is with like all the like 1 SCU boxes, I guess it would be a lot easier to just put like 12 of those on the trolley and then move the trolley rather than running it out each time with the 1 SCU.
If they force me to use something, then it makes sense to use it. Isn't necessarily like the best idea, but
yeah, it's to search for a good reason or a good situation to use them. That would be the only one who comes in mind at the moment.
Again,
maybe in the future they're different.
Spending development time on things that don't make sense, not always the best. Like I think maybe a lot of people love the way the tractor beams worked, and I feel like they should have just kept rolling with that. And I don't think they wasted development time on this. Very squadron stuff, most likely. So it's whatever. But
maybe there is like a future mission in the landing areas where you have to use that trolley to transport cargo from one place to another. I don't know.
Trolley escort mission incoming in 4.0.
I mean, we saw it in
but maybe it's
the distribution center mission options, right?
Yep.
So it's a possibility.
Maybe, hopefully, it's not as dead as the Rock DS. So let's see.
Yeah. So what else you got, Space? Because we got lots of callers. So I would say one more thing.
Yeah. There's a short info for you because I saw there was, how's it called? Bar Citizen in Shenzhen. And there's some infos that dropped out of this. So maybe you should check that out.
I will. I'm waiting for the actual video. So the only video that's out there is somebody found out that there was a live stream, but they missed the first 20 minutes of it. So I'm just waiting for the full live stream to get posted.
Oh, yeah, that could be good for your weekend review. And there's one thing I want to ask. It's a bit not off topic, but it's also related to. Do you feel the impact of them? Besides the stuff that went into 3.23, the impact of them moving Squadron to 42 people to Star Citizen yet? Because I don't really feel it at the moment.
Every single feature that made it into 3.23 day one and worked was a Squadron feature. So yes.
Yep. Besides that.
I just
nothing else has happened.
20 minutes ago, I think a video went out on my main channel where I made a report card for the last 6 months of Star Citizen, like a midterm report, and I was expecting to have a mix of things that I liked and that I didn't like, and when it came to the quality of life side of things, there were a lot of things, and there were a lot of things that I liked. A lot of those things were the stuff they showed at CitizenCon that was Squadron 42 related. So I would say I felt the impact, but Squadron 42 was never going to make the economy function. Squadron 42 was never going to make really awesome cargo missions. Squadron 42 was never going to make crafting. So am I feeling the impact that I would like to feel? Not necessarily, but am I feeling the impact of Squadron 42? Absolutely. Did they achieve the goals that they set out during CitizenCon, the 12 months or so? It doesn't feel like they're going to. They did not achieve their goals for 323. We're talking about fucking 324 for God's sakes, right? A feature that was supposed to be there. So
Mm.
was it perfect? No, but I'm feeling it. Yeah, I'm feeling it in a positive way.
Yeah, if you're specifically looking for like new stuff, we're not going to find out what that is until at the very least CitizenCon. You know,
Mm.
so yeah.
It was maybe that was my point to maybe see a bit of more new stuff we haven't seen at the CitizenCon last time that comes in, and maybe also is a bit like they did in the past, hinted at in the SCL or ISC videos. So, but let's see. CitizenCon is not that far away. It's like,
No, it's
I don't
way
know
too
how many
close.
months. Yeah,
Way
so
way too close considering
time is running.
the next 12 months or so. So 12 months
I
is
will
not
actually,
the entire
I will
year
actually
of
be
24.
so mad if they release 4.0 like 2 days before CitizenCon.
Because you're going.
I'll be mad. Yeah, because I won't be able to play.
Yeah, this is why I don't go.
Copium alarm. Copium alarm.
This is why I don't go anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So Space, we'll let
All
you
right,
go,
that's
buddy.
it.
And we'll catch you.
cheers, Nicole.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Have a good one,
Yep.
mate.
See
Bye
you
now.
guys. Bye.
All right. Next caller, Lightsmith. Welcome, dude.
How you doing, Ladsmith?
Yo. What's happening?
What's
Yeah,
happening?
what would you like to talk about today?
Oh, 324, of course. It's the hot topic.
Sure.
Question actually about because you two were talking about when you go up to the freight elevator, you can like select the sizes of your SCUs. So if I
Yeah.
bring
As long as you've got them in your
car.
cargo. So, like, before you even ask the question, it's like if you now buy cargo in the SCU.
He's talking about commodities.
Containers. Yeah.
Right.
So you
Oh,
then
okay.
they then go to your hangar. So if you buy like a 4 SCU, an 8 SCU, and a 16 SCU in your hangar, you will have a 4 SCU, an 8 SCU, and a 16 SCU box.
This is
Those
not
can
my
be brought up on
experience.
your freight elevator. What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
So when I went to the city, I went to the commodity
Yep.
terminal. I select the box I want, and it gives me the boxes that I want.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying it in the most
So-
rounded, weird way, though. You're saying I
Like
buy
I'm
the
saying,
box
if you
first
buy
and then I
a
fill it with commodities.
No. You
Okay.
you go to the commodity, you choose the box size that you want to purchase and the
Yeah.
amount of units of that box size you want to purchase.
Yep.
And that's what you will get in your inventory. So when you go
Yes.
to your freight elevator and you pull them out, you will have however many units of whatever size box you bought. They come up on the freight elevator.
Perfect. The way
That
I
may
heard
answer
it
your question
initially-
before you ask it.
The way I heard it initially is it sounded like you buy the empty ones first, and you can only fill the empty ones that you have with the commodity. I was so lost there for a second. I was like, dude, you had the opposite experience from me. Where were you? Because in my city it didn't do that. Okay, so cool.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. Let's.
Oh, so I was actually wondering, can I? So I can't bork it magically. I can't put 1 SCUs away, and then after that, I can't grab 2 SCU out. So I can't bork it.
No. That would be
That's what I was
great though.
wondering.
I would like
Can't
if
you do
they,
2 transactions? Why not?
Well, he's just trying to say like turn 2 1 SCUs into a 2 SCU box through the freight elevators, which you can't do. I would like if you had the ability to do that, right?
Same.
It adds
Consolidation
more
fee.
organization into your inventory. That'd be good. Yeah.
I think that's a longer term thing that will probably happen.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's what I was curious about because it just seemed like one of those video game workarounds, like you guys were talking about. Do they charge you per SCU, per container? Well, if I can just auto magically consolidate things, well, I can kind of get around most of that. So
That's fair. Yeah.
The
That'd be
game doesn't entirely understand that there's different size containers. The game, when it comes to commodities, only understands SCU units. That's it. It doesn't understand boxes yet, and that's a bummer, I have to say.
All right. Oh, here's a fun question. I tried asking this actually on like a Star Citizen Live recently.
Sure.
Since you guys have gotten to see it, and I've only seen certain leaks and pictures and things like that. Forklifts, toolboxes, weird boxes that are just stuck there, the weird set dressings and the art that are usually there these days. Is all of that there in the personal hangars?
Yes.
There's arguably less of it.
Yeah.
because
Okay.
there's obviously space now made for the freight elevators. I also did notice, like, like often during the, like in the corners of the hangars in like live right now, there's just like pile of ammunition props,
Yeah.
right? I
There's
saw
less.
less of those,
Yeah.
which is good because you want to customize your hangar, like, right? You want to
Yeah.
put your furniture around and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And the like, at
Selling
least
us
in the larger
furniture.
hangars, the edges, there's quite a bit of room. Like an extra large hangar is like a prospector wide, so there's room for ground vehicles. There's room for couches. There's
Yeah,
room
plenty
to
of space.
play around. So those
The
extra
large
rooms on the
hangar-
side, as much as you would
Yeah.
want to make them a room, you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
But it does
the
suck
large
that.
hangar that I had access to is plenty big enough for an actual reclaimer to fit in. Like an extra large ship will fit in a large, if that gives you more context about the
Yep.
sort of spacing.
Oh, that's good. 'Cause
Mhm.
That's going to be me. I'm going to have as many ships and things in all their fancy paints lined up off to the side as I can possibly fit.
Instant access too, right? Like,
Yep.
Oh yeah. Especially a Nursa or a
Mhm.
C8R.
yeah, spawning in your own hangar, that would be nice.
Ooh.
And
That'd be cool.
I wanted to see how you guys feel about this because it's immersion, and granted they have the trespassing to keep strangers out, but you can't
Mhm.
have party members in there. And obviously there's going to be all kinds of fun trolling and stuff. But
Mhm.
recently, me and some friends, we were doing something, and one of them thought he had the salvage tool out, but he really had the big tractor beam out. And he
Yep.
accidentally clicked, and he grabbed a Nursa and just like threw it through like everything, like he was the Hulk. And like I feel like that's going to happen even
Of
by
course.
accident. I was wondering how do you guys feel about being them giving us the ability to lock objects down in our own hangars? Do you think
Nah.
that would break the immersion too much?
Yes. It's your own personal hangar.
Yeah.
Don't invite people that are
Yeah.
stupid to your hangar.
Yeah.
If somebody
Mike, that
spills-
means we'll never be able to be in the same hangar.
If somebody spills wine on your carpet, it's not just
yeah,
shit that happens.
I don't think it's enough of an issue to warrant like needing to lock your stuff down. And honestly, those situations are going to end up being more funny than like bad. You know what I mean? So I think it's
Yeah,
fine. You
that's
don't need to do it.
probably true.
Yeah.
All right. I'm fearful.
You got to get some new friends.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's the problem. But then I guess just one last thing. How do you guys
Mhm.
feel like this is going to work out in Pyro? Do you think we should be able to get rid of the trespassing? Should I be allowed to sneak into people's hangars? Should I be allowed to steal their crap?
Nah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's like it's becoming it is a fundamental part of the game now, or will be once it goes live. And you really don't want to mess with those, but you still also want people to be able to do stuff. I wouldn't hate if there were some stations that you could do it. And
Okay.
then, it's inherently more risky doing it there, but I
But they
certainly
probably
would
shouldn't
not
be
want all of
home
Pyro to be like that.
locations.
Yeah. You
There's-
wouldn't want it
there's-
for home locations.
There's too much. Like, okay, let's use just like a person who wants to be a unlawful player,
Mhm.
but they still like to, I don't know, do. They want to display some things somewhere. They want to have items. Like your ability to go in someone else's hangar and just like straight up steal that stuff is a little bit possibly game breaking. Like even though 99.99% of pyro should be dangerous, scary, unlawful, I do think players should still have the ability to like sit in their hangar and set up their
Yeah.
ship. Like I don't know.
Yeah, there is
Yeah,
always
the
a
one
limit,
safe
and I guess
space.
like setting up before you start playing is something that should probably not be able to be touched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do I think somebody should be able to dive bomb into your hangar and just like explode?
Ooh,
Maybe.
no, I
Yeah.
don't know if I like that.
I hate it, but like, is that something you can really prevent, like, and it not be super weird? No, but I think
yeah,
you can.
no, fair.
But like the initial, the first thing I did on day one, and it was by accident because of the stupid elevator problems, is I ended up in somebody
Mhm.
else's hangar. It took 2 minutes.
Yep.
2 minutes to trespass me out. It's now down to 10 seconds. So
All right,
the
sweet, that's good.
the amount of time that you can do bad shit, nah.
Mm.
So
Oh,
No.
real quick, can I close the door whenever I want every once in a while, even in live now, the door just gets stuck open, or ATC decides they just want to.
I mean, if there's
open it for
desync,
me.
I
It's
don't
Like
know.
the hangar doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just say close my damn doors right now? Like if they're just open, or is it?
No, it's still essentially the same system right
Same
now,
system.
where it's like they will not close unless you're like landing and then you get into the hangar, or
We need a big red button.
if it's like, well, I haven't seen anyone kicked out of a hangar yet with the new system, but theoretically,
I have been.
that. No, there you go. Yeah, so that's the only other time it'll close, I imagine. But what you're saying would be good functionality. I would like that. So
Yep.
Okay. Big red close the door button is what I need.
Yeah.
close
Alright,
and open.
I would say one more thing, Lightsmith, so
Yeah.
we can get to everyone else.
No, that's good. That's all I wanted. I'm not an
Perfect.
Evo, so I was trying to take some of my good info.
Pick some
Always good talking
brains.
to you.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much, Lightsmith.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome.
No worries.
Talk to
Catch
you
you around.
soon. All right, that was Lightsmith, and now we're bringing on 5-Stripe Gunner. 5-Stripe, can you hear us?
How you doing, Fast Strap? You are muted at the moment, FYI.
Yep, I hear you. I got you muted on
Howdy.
screen.
Awesome.
Welcome.
What would you like to talk about today?
I wrote some notes. I got three things. One of them I actually care to talk about, but you all were chatting on them. The mission rewards.
Yeah.
Yep.
They gotta be like reeled in like this, and I know people hate it, but
Yep.
people just don't understand really big numbers. I think fundamentally, I'm not calling people stupid, but when you have
I am.
a trillion of something,
Yep.
it just doesn't make sense.
And if we start at the extremely high levels that we're at now, we're going to hit trillions.
No room
Too
for
quickly.
inflation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No room for inflation. And inflation's actually kind of a good thing, right? Because if you know that your credits are not going to be worth as much in the future, that makes you want to like use them to risk and create more opportunities for profit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's a thing that has to happen. The problem is that they're doing it in steps, and people aren't able to conceptualize, like, why would I do this mission if I could do this, right? And it's something that people are really struggling with right now, and they're not wrong in feeling that way. You know, I would.
They're not
love
wrong, but there's always an answer, because there's still always someone who will do it because
I
they
will do it.
enjoy it.
I
It's
will
just
do it
like
because I
you're
enjoy
not
it.
going to enjoy it, you know?
I mean,
yeah.
dude, you play Eve, right?
Yeah.
The
You
people
know how
who do,
badly hauling pays in Eve?
yeah, it pays terrible,
It's
but people
trash.
love to do
It's
it.
garbage.
People
Yeah,
love to do it.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
there's that, but just
We
That
also
doesn't-
all have
that doesn't
infinite
mean
money
it's
right
good.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has way
Um,
too much money, and has for the last 2 years. There's just been that many, like, either exploitable like mission rewards or trading rewards or whatever, that it's just been ridiculous.
yeah, and
And
again,
so it's like
the
it's
only
been so
prob-
long since we've felt what it's like to grind for something.
exactly, and the only problem is that the things that are worth grinding, they raise the price for, and
Mhm.
it's gonna. I think it might be kind of difficult to hit that number. The other thing I do want to point out that Elliot said that I forgot to bring up is every mission they created, the reward was thought of and based on a solo player. So even that 200K mission that he mentioned, whatever that means. Again, I reached out to CIG. I'm trying to get him in a voice thing and going about it the right way, like similar to what Tomato did with Yogi, and just seeing if we can get some more clarification on some things there. I don't think they've talked enough about these missions, and we're not going to get that answer because they're going to want to use an ISC for it and things like that. So don't hold your breath. I'm trying. I don't think it's going to happen though. So yeah. But go ahead. We just
and
use your time,
No.
5-Stripe. I'm sorry.
I like just throwing something into a conversation and hearing y'all talk. That's why I follow you also.
Yeah.
The second topic that I actually I think I have more feelings on, maybe not as much to say, but stronger feelings, like the smaller versus bigger boxes. I feel like so much of what people have done in this game has just been like more cargo is better. You're not going to make money moving 8 SCU in a Titan. Yeah. But I think in the real world, there are, tons of examples where having a smaller quantity of something is preferred to having a larger quantity of something, especially when you're trying to sell it, right?
Just for fun, can
there's
you
a
give an
reason
example?
you don't want to buy.
Diamonds.
I
You know,
Uh,
it's like precious commodities or like
I
or
could
time
see why
sensitive commodities. You know.
when you go and you're like trying to like cook a new recipe for dinner and you need to buy ingredients, you don't want to buy a pound of chives. You know, that's just something you sprinkle on. So if you have to
Yeah.
spend $10 to buy a pound of chives, it's no longer worth it for you to make your dish because you're spending so much on something you're only going to use 50 cents of.
Yeah, and
So
if I can jump in, that's the part of the
go.
patch that we're currently missing is the commodity balance is not there yet, but you can kind of see it as a lot of the locations seem like they have much less quantities of things than they've had in the past. So there that might
And
be coming into play a lot sooner than later. So the smaller outposts and things like that are going to be working with smaller numbers, smaller size boxes, so on and so forth.
also, I mean, there's another, I think, more concrete Star Citizen example that I could see this. And I'm not trying to theory craft something, but
Why
the
not?
example of a
We
small
have to.
box,
No.
right? Like, say there's this place you frequent in the game, a smaller outpost for whatever your loot might be, and while you're there, you know that one of the guys likes weevil eggs, right? So you always bring a little bit of weevil eggs to that place when you sell it. But if you were to show up there with like 32 SCU of weevil eggs, they might be really, really frustrated that you brought such a massive quantity of an illegal substance somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And they might refuse to buy so much of something, and maybe even be frustrated at you for attempting to do something so illegal.
Yeah, and you're
So
thinking about it in this like
having
super lore
smaller
way,
boxes,
but the game
well,
does
well,
that
having
automatically,
smaller
right?
boxes allows you to do stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I might pay a premium on a smaller box that I wouldn't pay on a larger amount.
I mean, can
And
we
that's just because you
simplify
asked for
it?
examples, right? But
We could
yeah,
simplify it. It's this place is only accepting 8 SCU of a certain
yeah,
commodity.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
if I bought a 16 SCU box, we know that we can't split it.
yeah.
You can't
And
sell
like
it.
you were talking about earlier, you can't put that thing in an inventory and then put it into
And then
2As
mess
and
around
then
with
pull
it.
it back out.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's probably the biggest change. Is if they figure it out, then we can't give that 32 SCU container to the place anyway.
Yeah.
They just won't accept
Mhm.
it. So
And a
it's
lot of times that's the endpoints of a transaction is the smaller individually packaged item compared to
Mhm.
the last mile
shipping
or whatever,
container
right?
that just has crates, right? Yeah, that last
Yeah.
mile. So, and that's where most of the value is added in a
Mm-hmm.
transaction, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
and
I want
unfortunately,
a
that's
reason
what
for
we've
smaller
yet to see.
boxes. I'm
Yeah.
advocating for smaller boxes.
I
Yeah,
think
look,
you're going to
they've
see that.
yeah, as well as they've sort of talked about like I don't know, Mike, if they got into future mission types with cargo with additional cargo types that they talked about at CitizenCon last year.
No. They did not.
But that sort of stuff will come with that too, right? There's going to be commodities that are almost certainly always going to be smaller boxes everywhere, that have like a much higher risk because they're super expensive, but like a better profit and whatnot. That you're not going to want to chuck on something like a C2 or a Hull C because you're going to get targeted all the time,
Mhm.
right? And it's going to be harder for you to escape. So
Mhm.
that stuff will happen. The only thing that, yeah, kind of like what Mike's saying, the only thing that will happen in 324 is just that the commodities we have right now may lean that way.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, and what does that play into your calculus of is this small box worth paying to auto load versus a big box worth paying to auto load? I know y'all were talking about which one should be more expensive.
I don't think there's
but
going to be
there's
auto
really
loading
a
and
lot of
Depends on how-
things that play there.
Yeah, it depends on how many boxes
Oh,
I'm
well,
getting.
I mean, if I'm going to buy it somewhere that'll auto load it, is it worth it to take it to an outpost, or is that something I have to manually load? Right. But
Yeah,
I'm just
Right.
saying, there's all these things playing into it.
for sure.
To keep it brief, because I know I was worried about being able to make time here. My third item is the item storage banks.
Hate 'em.
I remember, and I was talking about this in the Discord chat. You know, when 318 broke because all of the Wales' hangars were loading in all of their ships or something. I remember seeing a dev post about that. So
Oh.
everybody trying to log in all at once at 318 just killed the servers. And so they've now added that delivery button, that delivery step as a way to like not load in everything all at once.
Yeah.
That to me sort of feels like what these item banks are doing. I'm wondering, is this a gameplay immersion fun thing they're adding to the game, or is this them having to like take some of the medicine of what they're doing with the servers and dealing with all the crap that we keep in our inventories? I have
Yeah, like
thousands of
is
drinks
it an
because I
interesting like
only ever
tech
want to go buy
solution
drinks
maybe?
once. Yeah, I go buy med pens one time and I buy 1,000 of them. I don't need that, and like the game is keeping track of all this crap. So
It's keeping
I'm not
track
a
of it anyway.
programmer. I don't know how all this stuff works, but it feels like the same flavor of a thing as that delivery button is a way to like. I'm sure other people know what I'm talking about, but
It also
that's sort
feels
of the
like
only thing I had about
it's
that.
way too. It also feels like it's way too final. If they knew that this is something that they didn't want to do, but that is just placeholder, they would have said it. And yeah, I'm not
I
buying
agree.
that
I agree in
one
a
bit.
way, but yeah, but
People are allowed to make
so,
mistakes. People are allowed to be stupid, and people are allowed to do stupid things. All of us have done it. They did it. We just need to let them know that we don't like it or we like it, and they can do what they
Yep.
want with that information.
yeah.
I don't like it. I don't think they're stupid people. I don't think it's not putting them down, but at the same time, I think it is totally fine to say do better. You should know better than this by now, and that's it.
And I absolutely
Yep.
did not come here to defend these item banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more just
I'm
like
just a
you've
devil's
got an
advocate,
idea
right?
of why they might be there.
Yeah,
And
I just don't buy it.
if even if what I'm saying is partially true in any way, I still think there's a better way to do it than what
Yes.
we're looking at right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, all right,
Well,
Five.
yeah.
Is there anything else?
I have a soccer game to go watch. No, I appreciate it. I'm
watch it.
gonna get off here and let somebody else talk. So.
Yeah, man. Thanks
Good
for
as
calling.
always.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, cheers
Yep.
coming in.
Yep.
Catch you around, mate.
All right, we talked a little over him a little bit, and I shouldn't say we, I should say me. But yeah, I had to stop him a few times because I wanted to try to ask a few questions on what he was saying. All right, now we got Moldan. So I've been playing with
Moldan
in Evo quite a bit. So
Yep. How you
he's
doing,
probably
Moldan?
got some more insight into what we have missed.
So, yeah, doing good. How about you?
Good.
Pretty good. Actually, I'm actually really mad. Completely off topic. The Magic the Gathering Pro Tour happened this weekend, and you know how in Star Citizen the Hornet's been bugged for ages,
Yeah.
and they keep not fixing it. The exact same thing is happening in Magic right now, and they refuse to ban cards. It's pissing me off. Anyway, go ahead.
So, I guess I could start with something that I can add info to.
Oh, it sounded like he was fading out. Moldan.
I think we lost Moldan.
Moldan.
Moldan, we'll
bring
come
him
back
back.
to you. Yeah,
We'll bring him
we'll
back.
come back.
All right, we're gonna go with Hudson Hawk while we're waiting for Moldan.
Hudson,
are you
hello.
here?
You're the second best that we could do.
Yeah, sorry.
How you doing, Hudson?
I appreciate it.
Hope you're well. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, I guess we could talk about the thing that we were talking about earlier with live loading versus cargo boxes and trucks.
Yeah.
do it.
We had a little bit of a conversation about it in the Twitch chat. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the what you said has disappeared because I had to refresh and it's gone.
I think it happened before the lightning strike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
But yeah, so as since I have some truck driving experience, you have warehousing experience, so we have kind of two different. We experienced the two different kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the cargo loading timers.
Yeah,
And
like small boxes versus large boxes in terms of how they've got them currently and how I would like them to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's 1 minute for every one SU box, and it's like
30
an
seconds.
hour.
Yeah.
And
30 seconds for
like,
everyone SU.
and so what in the 32 SU boxes, how long?
So that'd be 16 minutes ish. Well, 17
16?
minutes. Yeah.
Because it's not the box. It's
per SU. So
if there were
the
two
box size
16
is
SCU
irrelevant.
containers, it'd be the same amount of time as the 32.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, when I was driving, granted this was 12 years ago, I remember like hang lumpers, which people there, that's their job, is to load trailers. It would take them about, I don't know, a really good one would take maybe about 7 to 8 minutes to load a completely full trailer, depending on pallet sizes and whatnot.
Okay.
And then going to like a rail yard, uh, not including queue time or whatever. It would take the crane operator, again, depending on his expertise and experience, it would take him anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes to load the one container onto my container trailer, not including all the extra stuff I have to do to secure the container to the trailer.
Okay.
Well,
So
yeah, a lot of my like argument about like against that was like, yeah, us unloading a truck of like the equivalent of like a 40-foot container, unloading that box by box would take us 2 to 3 hours, and compare that to loading or unloading just the container onto the truck. So like there's obviously different scales in real life that is way different to what we're experiencing in Star Citizen, because we don't have to get enormous cranes and stuff like that and move them. This is all just tractor beams. So
right.
like that's my perspective from a realism perspective at the very least. And obviously there's a disagreement there, but I will say, do you not think at the very least, because Star Citizen is a game, that something like making those larger SCU boxes not take longer, or at the very least just being a little bit shorter in a scale way, would be better for the game?
Because you don't have to look at real life. You have to look at real life in Star Citizen. Real life in Star Citizen is I take the box and I move it to my ship with a tractor beam.
Yeah.
And the
Right,
experience
Like
is,
from a gameplay perspective, I
is
think
the
like
same.
it's got to be that way.
Right, I understand that. I'm just like from your perspective, just you're actually loading said boxes versus from the truck driver's perspective, which is the experience that we as players are going to be experiencing, is just having the cargo containers being loaded on our truck. So we're not actually, unless of course we're doing the whole live loading thing, but that's a different thing. But yeah, I agree that it shouldn't take like an hour to load like a 32 SU box compared to
Mhm.
32 single one SU boxes only taking what, 9 minutes
Yeah.
thereabouts. No, I completely agree with that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it shouldn't, given the size of the 32 SU boxes, there should be a slight scale up in time just for manipulation and whatnot, but not maybe like 15 minutes instead of 9 minutes if you were to load it yourself or
So
something.
so you think
I'm
I
I'm
just want to
talking
make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Like you think
specifically for auto loading,
yeah,
not loading stuff.
yeah, so you think that like let's say for example 16 single SCU boxes in an auto load should take less time than a single 16 SCU container.
Yeah, slightly less.
Yeah, I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think
Even though there's real
it's
life examples, yeah.
yeah, I think it needs to be, first off, regardless, it should be per box, the way that they're doing the calculations, regardless of how they're doing it. Like even in your example, I think I would still prefer that over the current system where everything's the same. I think that the tools that we have in the game sort of make it that the difference between, because you have to use that context, the difference between a 32 SCU container and a single SCU container is negligible to your gameplay experience. So why am I being punished for getting the larger boxes, you know what I mean, versus the small boxes?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
just think
guess
that's bad game design if they do it like that.
well, I guess
Like I said, all of them across the board being the same, I think is also bad design. It should be different some way.
well, I guess that also kind of depends if they tweak the multi-tool and the
That's true.
two-handed tractor beam tool to not be able to move 32 SU boxes some distance.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Like it's there could be other things that change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're gonna
But-
want to buff ship tractor beams, and they're gonna kill the smaller ones.
But I
Yeah.
mean, let's say if like 9 minutes for 32 single one SU boxes, maybe it should take 10, 12 minutes to load the 132 SU box.
Yeah, no, I just don't like that. I think it should be less time. There is less. There is actually less logistical movement.
Can we?
Oh no, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking it backwards. You're right.
Can we just think about it from a Star Citizen perspective for a second? Like, why are we okay? And some of us may or may not be okay with this. With a 60-hour refinery job, I am totally fine with that. And
Yep.
I know the answer. Why am I okay with a 60-hour refinery job, but I am not okay with a 5-hour hauling job?
Because you can still use that ship to go continue playing the game. If
Exactly.
whereas if you're loading a ship,
Exactly.
it's stuck there. Yeah.
It breaks the loop and it just stops it.
Mhm.
The refinery job does not stop the loop. And on
Yeah.
top of that, the refinery job doubles the value of what you just earned.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, this rocks. Like, I'm totally fine with this. But that's the part where I'm like, bro, what are we trying to even do here? Like, that's the
Yeah.
part that I'm struggling with, is like, what are we trying to even do? I get it, but then at the same time, I don't, because they're not the same. Like, they're the same systems, but they're not the same because they don't make sense. Like, if I'm going to auto load, what's the benefit to me? Is it that
Yep.
I own 3 C2s and I auto load one while taking auto load 2 of them while taking another mission, and I'm just swapping shit? Like, is there some crazy logistics that I can do to make this make sense? Or can I just play the video game? Like, what hauling game does this, like, what game that has hauling have you ever had this in?
Well,
At
I
this
don't think I've
scale, at
ever.
least.
Yeah. I was
You
gonna say,
know?
I think the game that would maybe be closest is like, I guess, like the farming sim stuff, because you've actually got to move all the stuff around.
True.
There's no there's never really like physicalization of cargo in a lot of these games, right? I did have something I wanted to say, and exactly what you said is why it just makes more sense to be a monetary cost over a time cost. Make it cut into my profits so that I don't have to spend as much time doing it.
Yeah. You can eat a little
and
bit of
that is
time,
still a little bit of time,
but not
but
5
it's a
hours.
way better choice for the player.
Yeah.
But what if maybe a scaled, like the paid lumper versus the free lumper? Paid lumper is faster versus the free
Sure.
lumper. It just takes their time.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I wouldn't hate that as a thing as well, because that also would mean if you're a new cargo hauler, and because once again, because you're not actually risking your own cargo in these missions, but you still might not have much money and you don't want to spend it, you might want to choose. Yeah, you know what? I'll wait for that to get loaded. I'll go do a quick bounty mission, come back.
We also are forgetting something.
Yeah.
Reputation.
True.
Skipping the line.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be cool.
That might be
Getting
the
rid of
base.
faster times or something. Yeah.
That might be the base. So,
That's fine.
yeah, it's an interesting topic because it's weird. It's weird. But yeah.
No, I agree with you, Croncy. I just had it backwards. So
Okay.
it should be inverse the single. I don't know, 6 minutes for a 32 SU box versus 9 or something like that. Just because.
Yeah, like it should be.
You don't got to go back and forth.
It should scale. Yeah.
Yeah, but another thing. This is kind of in the scope of this. Do you think that CAG will start with the Caterpillar ships like Caterpillar and the Ironclad? Do you think they will have like drop and hook missions?
What do you mean by drop and hook missions?
Like a helicopter?
Drop and hook in a trucker parlance is basically you drop off your trailer at a distribution center and you just hook up immediately to another one. And leave.
Sure, right. That's
'cause you kind of
partially it's
own
partially
it,
baked into the commodities already. Where like commodity A, like so you buy commodity A at point A, you take it to point B, but like at least the I think the LEOs are set up this way. You take it to point B, which sells it. You buy from point B, you take that to sell C, which sells it C to A. Like that already exists. The no, like the you know anytime you're traveling with a freighter, if you aren't hauling cargo, you're losing money. That exists in the commodity locations of the LEOs. I don't know if it exists in many other locations.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
the
what I'm
difference
referring
is,
to is
you don't own the container when you own the truck that's hauling it. In this case, you own the truck and the container with the Caterpillar and the Ironclad. So the only one that fits is the raft when you describe that, or I don't know, like the 16 SCU containers on a whole A.
Mm.
Well, from my perspective, the closest ship to actually having gameplay being like a space trucker would actually be the Caterpillar with his detachable command module.
Yes, but
Yep.
you own the part
Right.
that you're detaching from, so it's different.
Right. Well, the trucking companies own trucks and trailers, but the command module, in this sense, could attach itself to different command modules loaded with different things that could be preloaded.
I think you could
it's
do
something they
that.
could do.
I think you could do it player to player trading, but I don't
Right.
see it happening player to NPC, because you would be giving the NPC your owned module, right?
I
So
guess
it'd
it
be weird.
depends on how those aspects of the module are like programmed when they come in. Because theoretically, like, right, if it was in the game right now, you could just repair and grab that bit of your module back. So
Unless the
yeah, I don't
command
know.
module, they made it like a separate ship that you can buy, and then you can buy individual.
Which they should do. Give CRG.
Part.
Yeah. It would be cool if that's how the mission worked, though. If they
Yeah.
gave you their command module and you did that, that would be awesome. I think that's a good
Ooh, yeah.
that's a good response to my like shooting down of that idea, is if the actual
Yeah.
company had their own version and it was like skinned to their shit, would be cool as well. And then you move
you
it,
go to your
but
hangar, you grab it out, and it's like
not in 324 though.
like fully branded by them. Like
Yeah.
on your ASOP, it's like, you've got 24 hours access to this ship or whatever.
Yep.
That'd be
Not
cool.
in 324, but that would be fucking sick.
Yeah.
Love that idea. But yeah, Hudson, we're getting towards the end, so I would say if you got one more thing, let's chat about that.
Let's see. I'm looking at my list.
Still got to get Moldan in.
Cargo mass. You think that's going to be a huge factor?
Eventually, I mean,
Or
it kind of
when
plays in now with the tractor beams a little bit. The heavier commodities like tungsten are a little bit harder to move in a 32 SU container than the lighter ones. So eventually, but maybe not with ships right away. But maybe even for price and time to put in your ship. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
In 324, I think it's just going to be the 30 seconds or something that they reduce down to like 10, 5, whatever,
Yeah.
to where we're not unhappy with it.
Okay.
For the time being.
Yeah.
But,
Cool.
no, that's
All right.
that's all I got.
All right, man.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate the call, Hudson.
And
Good talk.
appreciate the like the real life insight. No matter if
Yeah.
it like applies to the video game or not, it's always fun to talk about that kind of stuff. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers, man.
And like, yeah,
worries.
I shoot it down pretty quick sometimes, but it doesn't mean that it's not like a valid thing. It's just sometimes it's hard to apply to a game when it's like, all right, well, sometimes life sucks, man. And we want the game to be fun. So yeah. But all right, Hudson, dude, thank you so much, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, have a good one, mate.
Bye now.
Have a good one.
Yeah, that was actually super fun. I love the real life insight stuff sometimes.
Yeah,
Moldan, what's up? Are you back? Is your
Hello.
mic working?
Again? Yeah. Sorry
Cool.
about
Awesome.
that earlier. I'm gonna try to go through what I wanted to talk as fast as possible. I guess I'm gonna start from a bit of a different talking points, so we can like continue the previous thought a bit. I guess on the hauling missions and stuff like that. I think if they like, obviously we've only seen just a small part on SCL, but I think if they start designing things without considering that the game does have the pay to win or pay to skip, whatever you want to call it, it's just going to be another dead on arrival gameplay loop, because people will ignore these contracts as much as they ignore the previous ones. Like, no one cares.
Yeah, like, which is why old missions, they would make like new missions were always the best missions to do, so you actually did them and tested them.
Yep.
Are people other than like crazy people like me, are they going to do this kind of content after the first
Absolutely not.
couple days?
No,
you know,
I do think they will. I think there's enough of a sort of hankering for that type of mission, and there's enough like there's a big enough part of the community that has explicitly said they want to do that, and like they're okay with not making as much money. I think it'll be fine. But also, once again, prices are going to change.
Yeah, 100%. And Croncy, I think you're 100% right. But I think space truckers or truckers in video games are a special breed, and if they continue to do this kind of design for future stuff without the foundation of the rest of the economy, I think it might that other development might suffer, whereas cargo hauling might not, right? I think cargo hauling will always be fine, like we just talked about. People cargo haul in EVE all the time, even though it is definitely not the most profitable thing to do. So,
Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense, but then that means that there will be significantly less people who will be doing these. Like, it will be a giant wave of people who would just want to try them out and then realize, hey, I'm not even making $1 million in this 2 hours a day per week I have to play the game. I might as well just go to my friend who has a reclaimer.
Maybe, or they mentioned in SCL that commodity trading is still going to be a thing.
And also,
Yeah,
even if that is an issue, then cool, you just rebalance it if it's an actual issue.
Yeah.
Well, that's what will change this. Like, if what's being designed from the beginning isn't being, in a way, CIG likes to do it set in stone, where they say they will rebalance it, and it does not get rebalanced for like 2 years. It's just forgotten because there were other things in like stopping it from being rebalanced. Hopefully that's not the case. It's just hard to believe because we've heard about the economy changes all the way from February this year, and so far it's been we made inflation for ship prices and lowered the amount of rewards for the existing missions, which is, I don't know if that's really the way you want to go about it. Because I realized that if you just, like, for example, they showed, let's say, a medium rep mission on SCL, which paid 45 or 46,000 per hour by their calculations. So let's just say you want to buy a ship that will fit 150, 200 SCU, a Taurus, which is 8 mil. It's going to take you 7 days of non-stop playing to get that ship with those medium rep contracts. That's insane. That's if you go like,
disagree that's insane. That actually is like pretty on par with a lot of other video games. The problem with that is that we still have wipes. Those ones don't tend to.
Okay, what if I put it differently? Let's say a person has 2 hours to play this game per day. It's going to take you 3 months to get a Taurus.
Yep.
Is that really what you want to aim at?
Yes.
That's it.
Hold on. In this stage of the game, not in 1.0 whenever that comes out.
It's better that they do it now.
This is how you get to 1.0. If we keep going not at this stage, we never get 1.0. So
to be clear, I'm not saying they shouldn't be thinking about it. I'm saying that the rewards could be adjusted, considering that the game is not being close to final.
Well, then the ship prices never should have changed, which I think we're in agreement, you and I.
Yeah. Like, there's a disconnect there. There's still the disconnect. This is what I mean when I'm saying it's hard to believe that the rebalance will happen. There is, like, I'm seeing that they are making changes. It's just, these steps that they are making are out of sync with like each other. So it's not really showing promise.
I think the biggest problem is not that they're doing a ship that is really hard to achieve. I think that they're doing a ship that's really hard to achieve with in-game functionality.
Yeah.
And pretty easy to achieve outside of the game. And that's the disconnect, which is what you brought up earlier.
That's
so
a big
it's like,
problem.
why would I do this? It's creating too much incentive for the web store, and I don't think that's what the economy team. I don't think they were given that assignment. I do not think they were given that assignment. I think, and it's very clear they were given an assignment to make an MMO. They're making it, but they're making an MMO in a game that's pay to win, that has been pay to win for a long time, or pay to skip, or pay for convenience, however you want to describe it. And it unfortunately will making a MMO that you start in one place and end in another a little bit weird at times for people, right? And that's trying to put it as fairly as I possibly can and as respectfully as I possibly can.
Because it absolutely makes sense the way they described it on SCL.
If we all start out with an Aurora, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sense. But we have pay to win. It removes all of the meaning from it because, okay, I don't care. I got a friend who's got this giant ship. He's going to just invest with them together, and we're gonna make a shit ton of money instead of just
Yeah.
4,000 per 10 minutes.
I
I guess
I want to see
the
this
benefit
system
there-
come into play more, where we use this system ourselves to create our own contracts between each other, something like that, right? But go ahead, Croncy,
as
sorry.
if
I just will say the benefit there though is that like you can curb a lot of that by making sure that the way that the reputation works gives us missions similar to what we were saying with a previous caller. I don't exactly recall who, with like smaller but more
Valuable.
like small commodities at higher reputations with bigger payouts that don't necessarily need those large ships.
Yeah.
You can still sort of skirt that, because then it's like, all right, cool. I don't really need a constellation. I can still make decent money with, I don't know, what's like a regular freelancer or something.
Yep. That's why I really
you know.
keep looking at this and go,
Yeah.
what is this? What does
Yeah.
small grade late look like? Talk to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I
Yep.
wanted to see out of this SCL. Tell me what the
Yep,
difference
yep.
between this and this is. Tell me how you're going to make these small ships meaningful, and tell me why everyone is not just going to be doing this. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
Other
that's
than
what I
other
wanna see.
than risk, because I will say risk. Well, it's still not really relevant yet, but it will be relevant soon.
Yeah, with NPCs or something, like they haven't necessarily
Well,
defined risk to
and
us yet.
players. Once they start like funneling people through jump points,
Yeah.
and everyone is trying to make money going through jump points, then you've got actual like,
Yeah.
everyone will have to be concerned with piracy.
Exactly.
I mean,
and,
it's also-
and we'll know where it's happening usually. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's also not just jump points. Like, it's also another thing that was kind of strange to me on SCL when they said this is a starter mission, so we do not have any PvP designed into it. Where the mission was to take a commodity from Seraphim to CRUL1, and while CRUL1 might not be that not very populated, Seraphim is extremely populated, and you cannot tell me that you do not expect to see PvP at that location. Like, it's just
I'm not going to
not
expect
even, like,
as much.
absolutely, but there will, like, it's
PvP at
kind of
Seraphim?
feel, yeah,
So are we talking in 324, or are we talking in, like, are we talking
324. With
oh, there's going to
324
be
here,
PvP
yeah.
there 100%.
But
Yeah,
also, it's
yeah.
not just going to be like, it's not just going to be Seraphim to Cruel 1. The example mission is exactly an example mission. There'll be a bunch of these, I imagine, across the entire system.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
But the problem with this specific one is that it was like the reward system, or the whole effort versus reward, whatever it was called, was like had this like it was accounting for no PvP in design. And CAG has clearly been like, this has been a very hot topic of discussion, that this is a PvP game. So like, it does not make sense to me that is not.
I think the better example is that there was the mission that they were using was not the mission was not in a PvP hot zone, right? Like a PvP hot zone would be Pyro or I don't know, like SPK, that sort of thing, right?
Can I jump in a little bit
Every
here?
mission has the risk of PvP always. So it's kind of a moot point, I think.
Let's think more long term here and their original design intentions. Unfortunately, let's think a little bit of Tony Z here. I'm sorry, because it's probably not going to happen considering this was stuff that he talked about. But let's go back to the original star map. Let's go back to the idea that also in this video they mentioned this being an algorithm. What they showed us was just some shitty Excel spreadsheet
Google
that they
Sheets
used.
calculations.
Yeah, that they showed us. So let's assume we're in 4.24 and we have something like a dynamic economy of some kind, right? And the dynamic economy would recognize that the run between Seraphim and Cruel 1 is starting to get hit more often. There are more piracy hits on that run than before. Therefore, the risk level of that mission would be recognized as higher. Therefore, your payout would be higher. So what they're showing us is all the information that will inform the prices of missions eventually. But for now in 324, they're just making shit up. But they're making shit up with the variables that are going to make sense if they ever make a dynamic economy. So we can look at this in a very positive way like that, or we can just be like, oh my God, the sky's falling. It's all hell and it's over. yeah, maybe in 324 it's not going to be as fun as it could be, right? It's
It's I agree. If that ever happens, my point is completely
If.
null. The
Yeah.
issue here
Big thing
is
is if, obviously, Moldan, you know.
yeah, we are in a supposedly a live service game, which is it's a live service when they want it to be, and it's not a live service when they don't want it to be. And
Exactly.
it's who needs what don't play the game then but they need people to play the game because it's a test environment. So that's the CIG story. I'm not gonna go on more about this because it's just like beating an old horse. I wanted to add
We're
to
not
a
gonna
discussion
change them,
about
you know.
yeah,
We can't
exactly.
change them.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what they do.
Yep.
I will say,
I'm using a back
if someone out there ends up doing a cargo mission from Seraphim to Krill 1, you're boring. You're so boring. Do a riskier mission. Come on.
What if they don't have the rep for a riskier mission yet, man?
Uninstall.
Or exactly. Play a better game.
All right, last thing, Moldan.
Yeah. It's gonna be quick. I wanted to add to the discussion about not having a terminal or a cargo elevator at drug selling locations.
Sure.
I went to the locations that don't have landing pads.
Yep.
But they previously sold legal cargo. One of them was Tram and Myers on Selin. They used to sell Laranite.
Yes.
Yep.
The
Big trade
terminal
spot.
is just removed. Yep. The terminal is just completely removed, and it feels like they just went to every single one of them and pressed delete, and that's it. They like that space looks like just something is missing out of there, and that's not all.
Okay.
Tram and Myers has mining equipment around it. So what's the point of this location then?
That's definitely going to be a thing to check out with Evocati then.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
We'll have to-
continuously go to those
see if it-
locations and see if they deal with
See
it.
if that changes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
yeah.
It's a good thing to point
it
out.
feels like it's a thing that they missed unintentionally.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Or there is one more explanation. It's the discussion of funneling people into more narrow corridors. Like it could be that they just are removing this to move the Laranite to another place that does have landing pads. So it's just not as spread out.
Okay. I mean, I guess, we do have like extra landing zones now with 13 new landing zones with the DCs. So that, that could be the case. I'd believe it.
Yep. That's all. Just wanted to add that one. So.
Yeah. Like
Easy.
Jakari's a CIG dev in chat. They said there's going to be more points of interest that aren't what we have right now. And I just responded in chat, that's cool. We're just pointing out weird updates to locations like mining outposts that would make sense within the system of everything that was described. Mining or cargo missions, all that stuff. Like Tram and Myers is a staple. That is a staple location for trading and always has been. So that specific one is like, whoa, what's going on? Big changes are happening, or just goofy Evo stuff. So when you guys get to wave 1, that's what I would use with this information. Just check it out and see how things progress over time. And then point it out if it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But all right.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
That was
cheers, man.
And look forward to testing with you early next week.
Same.
All right, bro.
Easy.
Catch you later.
All right, have a good one, Moldan.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right. That was probably one of our longest shows. Sorry for the lightning, everybody. My apologies. But
and could have been longer. We had like at one point after we filled up the waiting room, there was like 6 people in the green room.
Yeah, I think we had a total of 12 people that wanted to call in. Get in early, guys. Somebody was in the queue 2 hours before the show started today. We are just that cool.
It was before that. I think I was down the coast this weekend. Yeah. I left there like 6 hours ago. I think they were still in there.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. So get in because Red Monster was here last week. The show got way more popular and we just don't have enough room for the callers. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Red, for that. I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for just in general, like, thank you for holding down the fort, Croncy, and everything last week. I'm glad everything went well and smoothly. Also, I'm glad now we're set up that we can both run the show and not just me, which is really cool.
Yep.
So even in even in a situation like what just happened, if I couldn't come back, theoretically, you could just spool it up and go without me kind of thing, and vice versa, which would be really cool. So Yeah, I guess that's all we have for this week. Obviously, this is something that myself I am super passionate about, and I will. It's just kind of the kind of stream content I see myself partaking in mostly. I feel like if I was going to do really hardcore shit, I would be doing it off stream because obviously you're never going to avoid stream snipers. It's just part of the gig. So on stream, just farting around doing cargo missions. Who cares how much money I make? It's just going to be super chill and talk to chat with the game on the screen for once instead of just me full screen. So I like the idea of it. And I usually like that kind of content. I mean, I don't know about you. I used to deliver 1/8 SCU boxes from Crusader to Microtech and Hurston for a long time back in the day. It was awesome.
Yuck.
Dude,
Gross.
you would go around and create your own runs and stuff. It was sick, and then they killed it. So
No,
I
I'm
think,
really excited for just like this whole cargo gameplay just be like more fleshed out and just more things to do.
Hell yeah.
You know?
400 missions they created. 400.
I mean, you're gonna need them. So,
yeah. Combining everything, it will be cool. Like, all right, I'm at Crusader. I want to grab a few missions here, but I want all my missions to be heading to the same, and you can make your own little runs.
Yep.
It'll be really neat. I'm super excited for it. But that's all I got for this week personally. You got anything?
Yeah, we got a monthly
on?
report coming out this week, so it should be interesting regardless of whether or not we get some solid Evo stuff.
Hopefully, Wave 1 this week. Yeah, so we're all
possibly. I was going to mention, like, even though it was a scuffed Evo patch, I've had Wave 1s that were worse. So I was like, don't feel like it's too far off. No,
this was one of the more solid Evo patches I've played. Like, replication layer thing came into play and all that stuff. And the only reason the first night the instability was a problem is because the test was only 4 hours. If the test was about a 12-hour period, I would have been able to do a lot more because we were getting about 30-minute phases in which we can enjoy the game for that time. So you can't do everything in 30 minutes. It's Star Citizen, but you do your 30 minutes, you crash. Then you do your 30 minutes of something else, you crash, and so on and so forth. But they only gave us 4 hours. So, and then obviously you and I missed the second day. So really, really looking forward to Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully they nail down some of that instability, and then maybe we have some cargo missions. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Awesome.
So it's late. We're going to let you guys go. Super long show. It's going to take forever to get this one up, I think, on YouTube. But thank you so much for watching. Get subscribed if you guys haven't yet. Check out our channels. I know I posted something during the show by accident. I looked at the time and was like, oh, why did I post it at this time? Like I said earlier, it's like the report card for Star Citizen Midway. It's not that I'm the teacher and I get to say what kind of grade they had. I just thought it was like a really cool way of being like, hey, these are all the things that happened in the last 6 months. So are we happy or are we not? And just let people's minds get moving about the subject and see what they think. And then I'm assuming you got a lot more content coming from Evo/Wave 1.
Hopefully, I posted my first video in like 4 months. So
yeah, I checked it out. It was good. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Keep going, and don't forget
to answer the call.